The old saying goes, once a performance begins, you finish it, audience or not. Got it, Xu Qing said seriously. Nope, Jiang he replied blankly. It means he reached out, linking his arm with hers, holding hands and walking like this is normal. So stop sneaking glances at my hand and just act natural. He tugged her along leisurely in the direction of his apartment. It'll make things more convincing later. My dad's already suspicious. This way he'll stop dropping by to investigate. You were nervous when you met him last time, right? Yeah, Jiang he admitted. Su Wenbin's presence had, in fact, made her a little uneasy. Just eat normally. Honestly, I don't think he handled it much better. His face looked like he'd seen a ghost. If my mom talks to you and you don't know how to respond, just deflect. You know how to do that? Jiang he looked at him puzzled. Xu Qing slowed his pace. Just follow her lead. Agree first, then soften your stance. If she says, you're not local, are you? Don't just nod. That sounds cold. So what should I say? Like this. He cleared his throat dramatically. Yeah, I'm from out of town, not a local. Didn't get it? What's the difference? She asked earnestly. A huge one. If you just say, yeah, she'll think you're holding something back. But 2 sentences? That sounds sincere. Trust me. More words equals less suspicion. Jiang he nodded thoughtfully. Another lesson in modern social etiquette. And if she asks what you're doing for work, don't say playing games. Just say you're working on your own stuff. My own stuff. Right. And if she keeps pressing, say it's stuff you do. They were nearly at the building. Xu Qing suddenly realized he hadn't prepared her all that well. Too late now. If Qin Hao mentioned anything later and they had to awkwardly re-explain things, it'd be worse. Besides, his mom had already bought groceries. What stuff exactly? Jiang he asked, still trying to follow his logic. Just vague stuff. Got it. I think so. Relax. I've got your back. Just play the girlfriend role and follow my lead. They entered the complex, the warmth of the hallway a stark contrast to the cold outside. Mom, I'm back. As the door opened, the comforting smell of home-cooked food wafted through the air. Jiang he instinctively sniffed, turning toward the kitchen, right as Zhou Suji peeked out. This is Jiang he, my girlfriend, Xu Qing announced, tugging her forward. Mom, this is her. Just call her Annie. Hello, Annie. Jiang he said carefully, remembering his earlier instructions. Hello. The food's not quite ready. Come in and sit down. Zhou Suji set down her spatula, wiped her hands on her apron, and came over with a warm smile. Sit. She's good at cooking too. Want her to help? Xu Qing added playfully. Sit down before I fry you, his mom said, swatting at him gently, though her eyes sparkled as she gave Jiang he a once-over. Prettier than in the photo, she thought. Watch some TV. I'll be done soon. Lao Su. Xu Qing's home. I heard, a voice called from the study. Dad, you've met her. This is Jiang he, Xu Qing said cheerfully. For some reason, every time he paraded her in front of Su Wenbin, he felt smug. The old man had studied ancient history his whole life, and now, standing in his living room, was a real woman from the past, completely undetected. What a win. Hello, uncle. Jiang he greeted politely. Su Wenbin stepped out with a teacup in hand and gave her a brief nod. Hello. Then he turned to Xu Qing, squinting. Why are you so pleased with yourself? I'm just happy. I have a girlfriend, Xu Qing said without missing a beat. He took Jiang he's hat and earmuffs, helping her settle in. The heating here was much better than their apartment. Jiang he relaxed visibly. Su Wenbin raised a brow, annoyed by the self-satisfaction practically radiating off his son. Make yourself at home. Here, have an orange. Xu Qing plucked one from the fruit bowl, peeled it, and handed it to Jiang he like it was the most natural thing in the world. Although technically still just playing the part couple, they already lived together, ate together. Helping him get out of paying rent was the least she could do, he figured. After all, weren't they practically a family? Xu Qing flashed a grin at his dad, as if reading his mind. Su Wenbin scowled but said nothing. This kid was getting too cocky. I saw Uncle Qin downstairs, walking his dog, Xu Qing said, flipping through the TV channels. You should get one too. I don't have time for that, his dad replied gruffly. You could name them Xiongba, Bu Jingyun, and Niefeng. Walk them all together like the storm riders. Su Wenbin narrowed his eyes. What on earth goes on in that head of yours? Fun things, Xu Qing grinned. It's called a generation gap. Ever heard of it? He shrugged at Jiang He, who didn't quite follow but nodded along. He helped her out of her coat and draped it neatly over a chair. Matching sweaters. Su Wenbin noticed and opened his mouth to say something, then closed it. Instead, he adjusted his glasses and watched as Xu Qing peeled another orange, handed over a banana to Jiang He, then offered one to him. He waved it away silently. The TV hummed in the background, filling the quiet. Jiang He sat quietly, peeling her banana, eyes flicking between Xu Qing and his father. From the kitchen came the soft sizzle of vegetables hitting the wok, warm light spilling into the living room. 3 people sat together, none speaking. One cooked in the kitchen, domestic, calm, and just a little bit awkward. But somehow, it felt like the beginning of something real. The silence didn't last long. Xu Qing popped the last bite of banana into his mouth, chewed thoughtfully, then suddenly slapped his thigh. Crap, what now? Su Wenbin asked, frowning. I forgot to bring fruit or anything. First time bringing someone home, and I came empty-handed. We're not guests. No need for that, Su Wenbin replied tersely. I'll make up for it next time, Xu Qing muttered, brushing it off with a grin. Su Wenbin didn't respond, his gaze shifting back to Jiang He, his mind still spinning. When your kid brings home someone they're dating, a whole checklist activates in your brain. Are they a good match? What's their personality like? Do they treat each other well? Can they actually build a future? And if they're already living together, well, that checklist turns into a fire alarm. It wasn't about looks, though Jiang He was, admittedly, a beautiful girl. What mattered more were values, temperament, and compatibility. And for what he'd seen so far, she was quiet, polite, and not at all like the chatty, phone-glued crowd of modern youth. It was surprising, almost too good to be true. Still, Su Wenbin couldn't help but wonder, is my kid even ready for this kind of relationship? The boy still hadn't found stable work, and now he was playing house? Wash your hands. Dinner's ready. Qingzi, come help serve the rice, Zhou Suji called out, poking her head out of the kitchen. Coming. Xu Qing jumped up and pointed Jiang He toward the bathroom, then ran off to wash up and help portion out the rice. He made sure to pack Jiang He's bowl tightly. She might have slimmed down since she first arrived, but she still outate him on most days. Jiang He returned from the bathroom, her eyes drifting curiously around the space, taking in the small signs of life in this warm, lived-in apartment. Su Wenbin went to wash up as well. Soon, the scent of sweet and sour ribs filled the air as Zhou Suji brought out the first dish. Jiang He, right? Come, sit, she said warmly, removing her apron and waving Jiang He over. Make yourself at home. Thank you, Auntie. Here, chopsticks. Xu Qing placed 2 rice bowls on the table, handing her one with a smile. Jiang He accepted it, lips pressed together. It was just dinner, so why did it feel so different? Maybe it was the warm lighting, the presence of parents, the steady rhythm of domestic life. It was calm, whole, a far cry from the boisterous, chaotic meals she remembered from her time in the gang. Back then, eating was loud, rough, and practical. This felt like a memory she had no part in, yet desperately wanted to. What are you spacing out for? Xu Qing waved a hand in front of her face. Is this how you always eat? Of course, he said, puzzled. Why? It feels nice. Her voice was soft, thoughtful, as if surprised by her own feelings. Of course it's nice. Xu Qing grinned. Dig in. My mom's ribs are legendary. If she made braised ribs, you'd be crying tears of joy. But sweet and sour? Still a solid second. He didn't know what was on her mind, but truthfully, even he felt a little weird. Sitting here with his parents and a time-traveling lady knight? Yeah, not something they covered in family life education. What's with that smirk? Su Wenbin asked, eyeing his son suspiciously. Just happy, Xu Qing replied, unbothered. Is it wrong to smile when you're happy? He slipped 2 ribs into Jiang He's bowl, earning a raised eyebrow from his father. Su Wenbin didn't respond. Watching his son banter with his girlfriend and serve her food, it just didn't feel real. When had the boy grown up? Eat up, don't be shy, Zhou Suji encouraged, noticing Jiang He's hesitation. Treat this like your own home. They all began eating quietly. Jiang He, no longer shy, finished 2 large bowls of rice and cleaned her plate to a shine. Su Wenbin and Zhou Suji watched in awe. She ate more than the 2 of them combined. See, Mom, Xu Qing joked. Your cooking is officially crowd-approved. He began clearing the dishes. When he brought someone over, the least he could do was help with cleanup. Either he or Jiang, he would always do the washing. Making his parents handle it just didn't feel right. Zhou Suji smiled, pleased with herself, and poured tea as he worked. Once the dishes were done, Su Wenbin stepped out of the kitchen and gestured toward the study. Time for the talk. In the living room, Jiang He sat quietly with a teacup, her posture straight but not stiff. You've got good manners, Zhou Suji commented, settling beside her. She examined the girl's clean, makeup-free face. Natural beauty through and through. Thank you, Auntie. Qingzi never mentioned having a girlfriend. If someone else hadn't brought it up, well, I'd still be clueless. You 2 are living together. Yes. Jiang He nodded. Living together? It was technically true. That boy, Zhou Suji sighed, always keeping things to himself. When did you 2 meet? A while ago. A while, huh? You're not from Jiang City, right? No, she paused, recalling Xu Qing's advice. Right. I'm from out of town, not Jiang City. Oh, where exactly? A mountain village, Jiang He replied carefully, in the study. So, Su Wenbin leaned forward, arms crossed. What are you really planning? What kind of question is that? Xu Qing countered. You know exactly what I mean. We're just dating. Isn't that normal? Dating, sure. But living together, she's staying over. We eat together, that's it. You expect me to believe that? I mean, we're just helping each other out. Su Wenbin took a slow breath, tugged at his collar, and tried to keep calm. Have you thought about what happens if it goes wrong? What happens then? We're not doing anything that'll go wrong, Xu Qing said quickly. Also, just waive my rent already, will you? Let's not make this more complicated than it is. That's what this is about. Partially. He shrugged. It's all working out. The rent isn't the issue here. It is to me. I'm talking about responsibility. Dad, Xu Qing said, suddenly serious. I know more than you think I do. Su Wenbin stared at his son for a long moment. Then he let out a sharp sigh and waved a hand. Get out. Gladly. Back in the living room, Xu Qing saw Jiang He still sipping tea, his mother chatting beside her. It's getting late, Mom. We'll head back. All right. Be safe, Zhou Suji said, walking them to the door. As they pulled on their coats and stepped out into the cool night air, Zhou Suji returned to the living room, only to see Su Wenbin come out of the study, face dark. So, he asked, arms crossed. What do you think of the girl? She's nice. What does she do? No clue. You didn't ask? I did, she said calmly. She said she's doing her own thing. Her what? Her own stuff. Su Wenbin stared out the window, watching the 2 figures walking away under the glow of the streetlights. They came, ate, skipped the rent, and left, he muttered bitterly. He turned back toward his wife, eyes narrowing. They didn't even bring fruit.
Hey, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy our audiobooks, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, feel free to share your review in the comments section below.
Bringing the lady knight he had picked up home to meet each other and officially become his girlfriend held immense significance for Xu Qing. Not to mention rent or anything else, at the very least, he wouldn't have to endure his parents nagging him about his mysterious cohabitation and pressuring him to bring her home all the time. If he didn't bring her meet them soon, Zhou Suji would probably pick a day to storm over there. Although he could bluff his way out of that, it was still a hassle. This way was much better. It solved a lot of problems, and once they got familiar with each other, if any issues arose regarding identity matters, Su Wenbin could help out. After all, a man in his 40s had far more connections than a young guy like him. Oh, his so-called connections didn't really count. Just a few good buddies who might not even be able to get things done. On the way, the cold wind howled. Xu Qing wasn't holding Jiang He's hand anymore. He kept his hands in his pockets, wrapped in his down jacket. Jiang he was bundled up the same way, slowly stepping through the snow toward the street corner. Cold moonlight spilled down, and the snow on the street reflected a faint glow. The areas compacted by cars and pedestrians were slippery, while the untouched snow crunched softly underfoot. Was it good? Are you full? If not, I can cook some noodles when we get back. I'm full. It was really good. Jiang nodded, her neck tucked down. I've been eating less and less. She used to be able to eat several large bowls of rice and still only be 80% full. Now, she got full quite easily. One reason is that you haven't been moving much, so your appetite's smaller. Another is that there are more vegetables here. Every bite of vegetables means one less bite of rice. And if you eat more meat, that's even less rice. If you balance the rice and dishes well, you get full easily. Just eating plain rice has no nutrition. You should learn to make more meat dishes. We can afford it. They stopped at the street corner to wait for a taxi. Xu Qing explained slowly, then looked at her seriously. I think you should eat a bit less, or you'll turn into a little chubby girl. Chubby girl. Yeah, you'll get fat, and then your martial arts. Well, at least your lightness skill will be useless. How could you run fast if you're chubby? Under the streetlight, he could see Jiang He's face clearly, but she was wearing thick clothes, a sweater, and a down jacket, so he couldn't tell her figure. He hadn't paid much attention before, but now Xu Qing was a bit worried. If she really turned into a chubby girl, well, there'd be no choice but to help her lose weight. Jiang He looked down at herself, her gaze fixed somewhere. Her expression turned a bit strange, as if she thought of something. I'll eat less. Getting fat was terrifying. You don't have to starve yourself. You burn a lot of energy practicing martial arts. As long as you don't eat too much, you should be fine. Xu Qing didn't notice her expression. He looked up at the sparse stars in the sky, paused for a moment, and said, I'll buy a scale soon. Scale? Yeah, the kind they use to weigh pigs. 2 people lift you up and hook you to a big weight. Seeing Jiang He's wide eyes, Xu Qing couldn't hold back his laughter. He waved his hand. I'm kidding. You'll know when I get one. This girl was learning fast. Just a few days ago, she had been searching Baidu for car mechanics. If he didn't tease her now, he might not get another chance. In the dead of winter, it was hard to catch a taxi. They stood in the cold wind for nearly 20 minutes before finally flagging down an empty car. They sat in the back seat, gave the driver their address, and the car set off toward home. It was almost 9 by the time they got back. Both of them felt relaxed returning to the familiar place. After stepping in, they took off their hats, scarves, and coats, hanging them on the rack by the door. One went to grab a yogurt, while the other sat in front of the computer, ready to play games and get some work done. Xu Qing's mouth never stopped moving. After finishing the yogurt, he grabbed a warm orange from the radiator. The warmth gave it a weird, slightly sour taste, but he liked it. He developed this preference while living with Su Wenbin. Now that Su Wenbin enjoyed underfloor heating, he couldn't eat them this way anymore. But Xu Qing still could. Haven't you had enough? Jiang he asked from the computer. This guy seemed to eat nonstop. I'm full. I just feel like eating something. Xu Qing peeled the orange and offered her a segment. When she refused, he popped it into his mouth. Can't stay idle. That's pretty weird. It's not weird. When I was quitting smoking, I kept eating snacks. It became a habit. Later, I got lazy and stopped buying snacks. Now, he shrugged and didn't finish. Since Jiang he came, he was still lazy, but things had improved. At least he often thought about going out, picking up some snacks and fruit along the way. Looking back, the past 6 months had brought a lot of changes. The place Su Wenbin once called a dog den now felt like a home. No wonder Su Wenbin had looked so shocked when he visited to check the heating. Jiang he had already logged into her game account. Staring at her bro character, she felt a bit gloomy. At this rate, who knew when she'd pay off her debt and support herself? Is there another way to make money? She turned her hopeful eyes to Xu Qing, who was eating an orange on the couch. There are plenty. Maybe you should try something else. The more you grind, the easier it is to quit. Jiang had been grinding hard for the past 2 months, probably putting in as much effort as she once did in martial arts. For someone from ancient times, living here wasn't easy. Xu Qing sighed, ate another segment of orange, and thought for a moment. How about becoming a merchant? Merchant. Games are like another world. There are merchants, grinders, whales, hardcore players, and casuals. Or you could stop gaming. I could teach you to edit videos. Which one makes money faster? Jiang Yi asked. If you're good, both make money. Some people have spent 8 years grinding in the world of Arad and bought a house. Xu Qing joked, crossing his hands behind his head and leaning back against the couch, squinting up at the ceiling light. There were countless ways to make money online, but picking one that was suitable and practical wasn't easy, especially for someone like Jiang He, who wanted quick returns with low investment, both financially and time-wise. If she put in the effort to learn video editing and spend time building an audience, only to have her account banned, she'd be screwed. Long-term plans weren't ideal right now. Where's Arad? Jiang He asked after a while. Buying a house. Houses must be expensive. Grinding there must be profitable. Arad has been destroyed. You should just keep playing your game. We'll talk about making money later. You often ask what you can do. When you find something you really enjoy, then decide. As he spoke, Xu Qing walked to the computer and looked at his long unupdated DNF game. He started the update. Don't work just for money. Find something you like, something you're passionate about. He looked down at Jiang He. Life's short, and being happy is the most important thing, especially for you. Why especially me? Because you came here to enjoy life. I have nothing. Jiang He glanced gloomily at Winter Melon in the corner. Is it here to enjoy life too? I'm not a cat. I don't know what it feels. But I envy you. Xu Qing smiled. You don't have to follow society's rules. As long as you don't hurt others, you can live however you want. That's called freedom. Rules? Yeah, like, never mind. You wouldn't understand. If you don't explain, I definitely won't. Jiang He experienced, for the first time, the frustration of someone stopping halfway through a sentence. If they were back at her time, she'd have punched him into the ground. You'll understand eventually. I'm going to take a shower. Oh, by the way, Xu Qing took 2 steps, then turned back. I hate 2 types of people. The first are those who stop halfway through a sentence. And the second? Bang. The bathroom door closed. Jiang He stared blankly for a while, then gritted her teeth in frustration. If you want to be a merchant, there are generally 2 ways. One is monopolizing, controlling all the resources yourself. As long as the game doesn't have a big update, you'll keep making stable profits. This one requires a lot of capital, so let's not go into detail. The other way is exploiting information gaps. Most of the time, this relies on updates in the system. For example, some materials that were previously worthless might become essential tickets for a new dungeon in the next version. If you catch on to this in advance and hoard them like crazy in a market, you can just wait for the update to make a profit. This is one of the simplest methods. After taking a shower, Xu Qing didn't return to his room. For some reason, he just wanted to spend more time talking with Jiang He in the living room. So, he lay on the couch in his pajamas, casually chatting about all sorts of things with her. You've probably seen this before. In ancient times, the rich and powerful often did the same thing. For instance, when disaster struck, they'd use their information advantage to hoard grain early, then jack up the prices, forcing poor families to sell their houses, land, and even their daughters. They'd monopolize the resources and solidify their social class. Information gap? Jiang He asked, hearing the term for the first time. Yeah, it means I know something and you don't. That's an information gap. Like if I know there's a locust plague 100 miles away that'll spread here in a few days. Before you realize it, I've already bought up all your grain. When your expected harvest is gone and you have nothing to eat, you'll have no choice but to work for me as a housemaid. I won't be your housemaid. It's just an example. Okay, let's not use that one. Anyway, it's the same idea in games. Many people don't even bother with the tutorials and just jump into the game wanting to go wild. They don't read the patch notes, so there's your information gap. Xu Qing chuckled. Lately, he loved teasing her. You can also follow those monopoly experts. Pay attention to what they're buying. When they start hoarding, you do the same. Then, when they raise prices, you can profit too. What about grinding? Jiang He asked. Grinding is pretty boring. You just farm materials and sell them. But it's better than Jianwang 3. You don't have to take orders from others. Just focus on farming, and you'll get returns. It's like farming crops. Hard work pays off. I want to learn how to grind. The term farming struck a chord with Jiang He. Power leveling for others felt like working for someone else, and she'd been scammed a few times. But with farming, everything she produced was hers. She liked that. No need to deal with others. Just focus on her own work and reap the rewards. All right, then farm away. Xu Qing understood her mindset without even thinking. He shook his head lightly. Changing someone's ingrained thinking was really hard in such a short time. He could easily force Jiang He to work in a factory, but that wasn't the life she deserved. People needed to think long-term, and he was no exception. But right now, he had no clear plan. The priority was helping her adapt to this era. As for making money, that could wait. The most urgent thing was for her to understand everything fully and change her way of thinking. These scattered explanations wouldn't get the job done, not even by the time they had kids. Integration. Wait. Xu Qing suddenly sat up on the couch, raising his hand as if he'd caught a fleeting thought. Seeing Jiang He's confused look, he gestured for her to wait. RA with diuresis sepsilin. Jiang He was puzzled but stayed quiet, waiting for him to grasp his thought. Culture. Open Baidu and search for culture, Xu Qing instructed. It's up. Now what? Read it. Culture refers to various cultural phenomena in human society. Culture encompasses symbols, values, and norms shared by humans, nations, or groups. It includes the advanced, scientific, excellent, and healthy parts of human culture. Categories include culture, art, aesthetics, education, philosophy, national studies, history, law, clothing, food, architecture, transportation, literature, business, management, religion, calligraphy, music, festivals, military, politics, martial arts, handicrafts, and more. Jiang He's clear voice filled the living room. Xu Qing closed his eyes and listened quietly. When she finished, he opened his eyes. That's the part you're missing. Previously, he was clueless because Jiang He was a blank slate. Everything from 1,000 years later was new to her. He'd tried listing essential things for her to learn, but always failed. There was just too much. Now he'd found a broad, dynamic concept, culture, and then Jiang He still didn't understand what she was missing. Once you understand culture, you'll be a modern person with the basic qualities and common sense needed to adapt to modern life. How do I understand it? Through art. Xu Qing lay back on the couch again, thinking aloud. Literature, painting, music, drama, films. These are condensed forms of culture, especially literature and film, which are great at expressing it. Starting tomorrow, we'll watch movies together. I'll also find some suitable novels for you. Oh, and I need to filter the movies too. This thought made him frown. Jiang He needed modern content, but his channel mainly focused on wuxia and historical genres. It was a conflict. Okay. Jiang He agreed easily. She didn't understand much, but she trusted Xu Qing. After a pause, she curiously asked, "If I do this, will I catch up with you soon and close the information gap?" "Yeah, of course. Otherwise, how will you understand my jokes?" Xu Qing waved his hand lazily. "Go take your shower. Don't play around tonight. I'll figure out this movie thing." "All right." Jiang He got up, glanced at the computer, then at Xu Qing. She hesitated and asked, "So, this information gap, you're not planning to use it to trick me into being your girlfriend, are you?" "What?" Xu Qing almost fell off the couch. "How did you know? I mean, how could you think that? Isn't it true?" Jiang He pressed. "No way. Absolutely not." Xu Qing sat up straight, indignant. "That's slander. How can you smear my good name? I think you're feeling guilty. Guilty my asterisk. Go take your shower." "Okay." Jiang He didn't say more. She went to her room to grab clean clothes. Xu Qing watched her enter the bathroom and heard the sound of running water. He scrambled to the computer and opened Baidu. He hadn't checked in a few days and wondered what she'd been searching. When he saw her search history, he was dumbfounded. What if Xu Qing wants to trick me into being his girlfriend? I feel guilty. Should I sneak away? Second boss said a benefactor is just a benefactor. Is Xu Qing a good person? Xu Qing has been acting weird lately and mentioned repaying with the flood of information left Xu Qing stunned for a moment. A clear conscience? If he didn't feel guilty, then that would be the real surprise. They'd been living together for the past few months, eating and sleeping under the same roof, and the dynamic felt completely natural, even as if they had a child together. It was perfectly reasonable for him to develop feelings for Jianghe, and for her to have some affection for him, too. But what was with sneaking away? And that long string of searches for Xu Qing? Did she really think Baidu was all-knowing and could find something useful? Not a chance. This girl, usually so quiet and obedient, acting like a little angel, had actually been putting on a show all along. Xu Qing glanced toward the bathroom with a complicated expression. When she first arrived, she also used to slip out quietly in the middle of the night to play ghost pranks, then act as if nothing happened the next day, eating and drinking as usual. If Uncle Zhao hadn't been scared out of his wits, Xu Qing wouldn't have noticed a thing. Putting on a show, Xu Qing closed the webpage and sat back on the couch, trying to figure out what was going through Jianghe's mind. Based on the search dates, she must have noticed something was off with him, so she turned to Baidu for answers. Obviously, Baidu wasn't much help with this sort of thing. Then, after observing for a while and realizing things weren't quite right, she searched whether he was a good person, but Baidu let her down again. Unable to get any help from the all-powerful Baidu, Jianghe must have felt pitiful, weak, and helpless. After thinking it over, she decided Xu Qing wasn't a bad guy. Then she got tangled up in another dilemma. What should she do? Caught in that dilemma, she realized she did have a guilty conscience. So, she wanted to slip away. As Xu Qing thought about it, he laughed. That was probably the gist of it. Maybe a few details were off, but he couldn't be too far off the mark. This complicated internal struggle had dragged on until today. She'd even pretended to be his girlfriend with a straight face. Was she planning to figure out what to do while watching how he would talk his way out of things? What a sneaky girl. She deserved an award for this performance. In the bathroom. When it came to winter baths, people didn't want to start, but once they did, they didn't want to stop. This rule didn't apply to Jianghe. As someone who got up early to practice martial arts every day, no matter the season, she had no special feelings about bathing. Whether enjoyable or miserable, it was always a 10-minute affair. She only took longer occasionally when washing her hair. Today, she took longer than usual, because she was lost in thought. When she snapped out of it, she realized she'd spent more time than planned. Hesitating for a moment, she washed her hair again and then frowned at her reflection in the steam-covered mirror, fretting over a bit of chubbiness. She dressed, towel-dried her hair, and stepped out. As soon as she looked up, she saw Xu Qing sitting on the couch, smiling at her. "What are you laughing at?" "Nothing. Come here, I'll dry your hair." Xu Qing waved the hairdryer in his hand. Jianghe paused for a moment, then walked over and sat in the chair in front of him. The hairdryer whirred to life. Neither of them spoke. Xu Qing, as usual, gathered her long hair, spread it out, dried it in sections, and then repeated the process while admiring her freshly washed, dewy side profile. And with circumflex, her face was full of collagen. He felt like pinching it. Once he was done, Jianghe stood up and glanced at him, hesitating as if she wanted to say something. "Go to bed early," Xu Qing said nonchalantly, putting away the hairdryer and turning to head back to his room. "Good night." "Good night." Jianghe stood still, watching him close his door. She stayed in the living room for a moment longer before turning off the lights and heading to her own room. Sitting cross-legged on the bed, she grabbed the hand warmer on her bedside table, feeling its warmth. She had been so sure that Xu Qing was trying to trick her into being his girlfriend. But just now, his attempt to help bridge her knowledge gap made her doubt herself again. If things were as she thought, wouldn't Xu Qing prefer her to stay clueless? So, maybe she'd been overthinking everything, and Xu Qing really was just helping her? Resting her chin on her knees, Jianghe stared at the edge of the bed, deep in thought. Something still didn't feel right. The next morning, Xu Qing was woken by a phone call. "What did you say to my dad?" The moment he answered, Qinghao's frustrated voice blasted through the phone. Xu Qing held the phone away and snuggled deeper under the covers, adjusting his position for comfort. said his name, Xiongba, was a great choice. Then what's this about a blind date? Qin Hao was furious, not believing a word of it. A blind date? Oh, I took my girlfriend home, and he saw her. Naturally, he got anxious. Xu Qing chuckled. Old man Qin was fast. Already setting things up? Nah, probably just giving Qin Hao a heads up, democratically discussing a convenient time to start the process. You never do anything right. My girlfriend made a love-filled breakfast, gotta go. Ignoring Qin Hao's indignant rant, Xu Qing hung up and lay in bed for another 10 minutes before slowly getting up. Opening the door, he saw Jiang, he practicing swordsmanship across the room. Up early, he greeted. Jiang, he focused on her sword work and ignored him. Xu Qing didn't mind, retreating to his blanket while watching her practice. Soon, he grew restless, threw on a jacket, and started stance training. Gotta stay fit, strong and healthy. This stuff needed dedication. Plenty of people dreamed of training martial arts, but never had the chance. He couldn't waste this teacher. Bend your knees more, raise your arms, relax your shoulders. Jiang, he corrected his posture after sheathing her sword, then turned to wash up. When can I learn lightness skills? Xu Qing called after her. That's hard and requires a lot of suffering. Oh, never mind then. Jiang He, ready to persuade him, was stunned by his quick retreat. Maybe later. For now, just getting fit is enough. Xu Qing felt a bit melancholy. Sometimes, watching Jiang He move around the house, he had the illusion of being a destined protagonist, meeting a lady knight, learning ultimate techniques overnight, and then teaming up to fight evil, flaunt their skills, and retire to the mountains. Or maybe a magic chime would give him everything: treasures, secret techniques, luxury cars, and mansions. But for him, it was always just endless stance training. No magical martial arts. Oh well, at least he had parents. Better stick to being a regular guy. Are there any special martial arts? I don't mean anything weird, just asking. Jiang, he glanced at him while brushing her teeth, rinsed her mouth, and wiped her lips. Special like what? Like those fast-track techniques that require, certain sacrifices or righteous dual cultivation skills. Just asking, is there such a thing? Are you thinking of castrating yourself? Jiang, he blinked, surprised by the request. No, I want to try dual cultivation. Dual. Jiang, he froze, realizing what he meant. She turned her head away and said, No. Really, sounds like there is. How else would you know? Even if there was, I wouldn't teach you. Jiang, he fumed. The guilt Jiang he initially felt about misunderstanding Xu Qing had now completely vanished. This guy is so annoying. Clenching her fists, Jiang he walked into the kitchen, planning to heat up some congee from last night. But she realized they had gone to Xu Qing's parents' house for dinner yesterday, and she'd forgotten to cook anything when they got back. Want some noodles? She called out from the kitchen. No congee. I didn't make any last night. Oh, do you want to eat or not? After a few pointless exchanges, Jiang he was getting irritated. She rubbed her stomach, counted the days on her fingers, and reluctantly went back to her room. Aren't you making noodles? Xu Qing was puzzled. What's up with her? Later, Jiang He's expression was sour, though she didn't know exactly why she felt so annoyed. A moment later, Xu Qing finished his stance training, standing for a whole minute longer than yesterday. He exhaled dramatically, pretending he was a martial arts master who needed to release bad energy after training. Body stat +1. Satisfied, he wrapped things up and went to wash up. Looking at his reflection in the mirror, he checked for any changes. He didn't see anything different. Of course, there's nothing to see. I've barely been doing this for a few days. Even the sunflower manual doesn't work that fast. I'm making noodles for you. Jiang he had calmed down by the time she came out of her room. Cough. Xu Qing, who was brushing his teeth, almost choked on the foam. It's called cooking noodles. Don't say it like that. Isn't it the same thing? Just cook your noodles. Xu Qing didn't want to explain or dare to. Otherwise, she'd definitely get mad. How did my mind go there? Damn internet memes. She cooked a whole pot of 2 yuan noodles, adding 2 eggs. The egg whites and yolks had separated during cooking, and she used a spoon to reunite them in the bowl. New yes. Xu Qing filled a third of his bowl, leaving the other 2/3 for Jiang He. Breakfast cost 3 yuan in total, which made Jiang He even more fond of cooking. Eating this every day would cost just over 100 yuan a month. If you just drink water, you won't have to spend a cent. Jiang He ignored him. Wait, you can live for 7 days without food if you only drink water. So, you could eat one meal every 7 days and spend less than 10 yuan a month. Xu Qing offered his reasonable suggestion. This ancient girl needs to experience the iron fist of socialism. Seriously, it's not like she's a college student dating someone who eats noodles every day. Oh wait, college students don't eat noodles either. They eat buns. After breakfast, Xu Qing hogged the computer to research movies and novels. Jiang He, confused by his work, sat on the couch with a hand warmer, reading a book. The books were ones Xu Qing had bought out of boredom. The complete Sherlock Holmes, Journey Under the Midnight Sun, Ordinary World, and some leftover economics textbooks from college. Jiang He could recognize the characters, but not the sentences. After finishing 5,000 years of Chinese history with the help of a simplified traditional guide, she now struggled with novels. Even though it was hard, she understood some things. Art reflects reality, and literature does so in a more representative way. Xu Qing once thought about borrowing primary school textbooks from Aunt Cheng's granddaughter for her, but decided it was pointless. Jiang He wasn't lacking basic knowledge. She had her own thoughts and was smart. What she lacked was understanding of the modern world. Studying ancient poetry and essays wasn't as helpful as learning about society through literature. As for math, as long as she could do basic calculations, that was enough. Most people never touch calculus again after leaving school. Education is about improving one's value for a better life. For Jiang He, mastering equations was just a waste of time, unless she found it interesting. You'll hurt your eyes reading like that. Put the book on the table. Stretching his back, Xu Qing turned to remind Jiang He. Nearsighted. Yeah, it means you can't see clearly and need glasses. You know, those things people wear on their noses with glass frames. He pointed to his nose and suddenly got an idea. He ran to his room, found an old pair of fake glasses he'd bought to look cool, and handed them to Jiang He. Try these on, like this. Jiang He nestled into the couch, wearing the glasses and glancing around. Snap! Xu Qing secretly took a photo. What are you doing? Jiang He sensed something was off. Sending it to you. You look good like this. Xu Qing shamelessly sent the photo via WeChat, then handed her a mirror. Look, it looks weird. She looked for a moment, then took the glasses off and sat up straight with her slippers on, continuing to read. TSK. You remind me of my dad. Xu Qing sighed. Seeing her like this made his heart itch. Your dad? Yeah. Did your second mom ever hug you? We used to huddle together a lot. In winter, she'd hug me tightly. Oh. Xu Qing was disappointed, putting away the glasses and returning to the computer. What are you doing? Looking for movies and thinking about becoming a film critic. Why not give it a shot? Xu Qing's philosophy was simple. If it works, great. If not, no harm done. That's how he started his YouTube channel, after all. Film critic? It's too complicated to explain right now. It's even a bit tricky for me. I'll just try it out. Xu Qing shrugged. Wu Xiao was dead. Recent martial arts movies were disappointing. Exploring new things couldn't hurt. The key was having taste, understanding what movies were really saying instead of just laughing and forgetting about them. He had the basics. Now it's time to dig deeper. Smart people never go hungry. This is an age of brain power. You need to get smarter and stop being so clueless. As he spoke, his phone buzzed. It was Wang Zijuan. Where are you? At home. What's up? The part-time job. That thing you mentioned, I looked into it, and it's doable. How do we set it up? Let's meet and talk. I'm on my way. We need to sort out some details. Not long after, Wang Zijuan drove over. Xu Qing initially planned to go out, find a place to discuss the matter over a meal, but after thinking about it, realized it wasn't appropriate to discuss this outside. So he stayed put and waited for Wang Zijuan to come over. The door was knocked. Before Xu Qing could get up, Jiang, he went to check the peephole. She really liked this invention. You could see outside while those outside couldn't see in. If a bad guy showed up, she could just stab through the door with a sword. It's my friend. Open the door, Xu Qing called out while getting up to look for the kettle. Oh, Jiang, he remembered this rich guy. She took one glance and opened the door. Wang Zijuan came in wrapped in his coat, carrying the chill from outside. I have to tell you, he just stepped inside, hadn't finished his sentence when he turned around to leave. Oops, sorry, wrong door. Come back. Where are you going? Xu Qing was puzzled. Wang Zijuan froze, turned back, and saw Xu Qing inside holding kettle. You this d***man. I thought I knocked on the wrong door. He stepped back in, still wrapped in his coat, and glanced at Jiang He, finally recognizing her. You forgot her already after meeting just once? Xu Qing was surprised and glanced at Jiang He as well. This girl was pretty recognizable. Just once? It's been ages. Wang Zijuan plopped down on the couch and started looking around Xu Qing's dump of a place, finding it more and more fascinating. Your kidney. Ahem, that stuff affects your memory, Xu Qing muttered while rinsing 2 teacups and pouring tea. Seeing there was nothing for her to do, Jiang, he went back to her room. Nice. Now that the living room had just the two of them, Wang Zijuan pulled a document folder out of his coat and tossed it onto the table. Leaning back against the couch, he squinted at Xu Qing. No wonder you're never around. Hiding your girl in a golden house, huh? Look at this setup, this environment. Oh, you even have a potted plant. Living the good life, aren't you? That's Ginger. Hey, even more homely. Let's get serious. Xu Qing didn't want to humor him, blowing on his tea and taking a sip. Is this reliable? If it gets exposed and backfires, we're better off not doing it. I've thought it through. Wang Zijuan dropped the jokes and opened the folder. Inside were a few forms, looking a bit worn. I checked several places. This one lets you fill out a form for a part-time job. Then you just sign out when you finish a shift. Sell a few bottles of alcohol, and commissions are paid weekly. It's just basic sales stuff. You wanted a backstory, right? This is the safest way. No one knows you there, and if someone checks, they'll find it legit. He pushed the forms over and changed the subject. So this girl, what's her deal? She's just an orphan. No family, no ties. I picked her up from a trash heap. Xu Qing examined the forms and was satisfied. When he gave this guy clear instructions, he always delivered. This is exactly what I need, something that flies under the radar. I don't even know if we'll need it, but better to be prepared. If everything went smoothly, great. But if they looked into her closely, something obscure like this would throw them off. Anyone dumb enough wouldn't find this. It was designed to confuse smart people. In a world full of surveillance, if anyone discovered she'd appeared out of nowhere, there'd be trouble. You're putting in this much effort for someone you just found? Yeah, right. Wang Zijuan sneered. If you found her in a trash heap, why bother with all this? Just let Haozi handle it. Even if I told you, you wouldn't believe it. I swear, she's just a stray kid I picked up. Xu Qing raised his hand in mock oath, making Wang Zijuan roll his eyes. Fine, just don't let it turn out she's some spy or a fugitive. You don't have the guts for that. Hey, if that happened, Haozi would be thrilled to light incense and come catch me. Xu Qing set his cup down with a grin and called toward the storeroom. Jiang He, creak. The door opened, and Jiang He poked her head out. What? Come here and sign this. What is it? Just sign here. Don't worry, I'm not selling you off. You worked here a couple of years ago for a few months. Xu Qing scribbled her name on the packaging box as a guide, just to avoid her using traditional characters out of habit. She doesn't know how to write? Wang Zijuan was surprised. Young people who couldn't even write their own names? Seriously? See? I told you she's just a stray. Xu Qing shrugged. She was a snot-nosed kid wandering around for years before she somehow wised up and I took her in. Jiang He gave him a look, clenched her fists, and stayed quiet. Yeah, right. Wang Zijuan didn't buy it, but didn't press. Once Jiang He signed, he stuffed the forms back in the folder, planning to stash them in his store. It probably wouldn't be needed, but if it was, it would be invaluable. Stay for lunch. It's cold, and you came all the way here. I'd have gone to you if I'd known. Xu Qing checked the time. It was almost noon. You got a car? F*******. Cook an extra dish, Xu Qing told Jiang He. Okay. Jiang He nodded, understanding that this rich guy was here to help, and went to start cooking. Wait, you're cooking at home. Wang Zijuan was stunned. He thought they'd just grab a bite nearby. What else? Xu Qing asked. Man, you're really living it up. Wang Zijuan watched Jiang he pull ingredients from the fridge, feeling like he'd stepped into a different Xu Qing's home. He'd seen it all, or so he thought. Scratch that. He really hadn't seen this. Were the cola, burgers, and chicken wraps. Earlier this year, after fighting with his dad, he'd crashed at Xu Qing's place. It was a total dump back then. Now what had suddenly turned into this? Wang Zijuan stared at Xu Qing, his mind reeling. Are you serious? What's serious or not? You all have the wrong idea about me. Wrong idea, my asterisk SS. Wang Zijuan got up, wandered around the living room, and took in the changes. He couldn't help feeling envious. Maybe I need a girlfriend who cooks too. Go ahead, just take care of your health. Why is your computer in traditional Chinese? Wang Zijuan frowned, sitting down at the desk. This guy had been acting weird lately. He used to tease Qin Hao for being crazy, but he wasn't exactly normal himself. Because I like it. Xu Qing brushed it off. D*MN. You're weird. Oh, right, I want a new computer. A good one. Make me a list so I can get it assembled. Just pick the expensive stuff. Who needs a list? Xu Qing listened to the sounds from the kitchen, stood up, and went to see if he could help. Inviting a friend over, showing off his girlfriend, it felt pretty good. All the trouble he'd gone through was worth it. In the kitchen, Jiang He, wearing an apron, was chopping vegetables with the poise of a young wife. Her sleeves were rolled up, and her hair was tied into a bun. She was skilled with a kitchen knife, her slicing effortless and precise, unlike Xu Qing, who always ended up cutting strands into strips if he wasn't careful. What are you looking at? Noticing Xu Qing's gaze, Jiang He turned her head slightly and glanced at him. You look so beautiful like this, Xu Qing sighed. She'd really make a perfect wife. Jiang He's hands paused for a moment, and she looked dazed and unsure. Then, realizing what he'd said, she glanced toward the kitchen door, her face tensing up as she glared at him. Scoundrel! Thanks for the compliment. Xu Qing chuckled, not teasing her any further. He turned and walked out of the kitchen to avoid getting in the way. Life had to be taken one step at a time. Meeting her after more than 1,000 years was fate. He had to work hard to make the most of it. Stop whispering to your girlfriend and get a move on. It's not like my money grows on trees. Wang Zijuan turned up the music to maximum volume, but then, remembering someone was in the kitchen, quickly turned it back down to normal. He called out to Xu Qing. If spending money solves the problem, that's fine. But those damned profiteers give me defective goods, even after taking my money. So disgusting. That's what happens when you're a noob. That's why I need you to make me a parts list. Wang Zijuan was ready to flip the table. What's your budget? Pick the best within reason. The best, huh? Then you'll want a Core i7-6950 Extreme with G.Skill Ripjaws 4-2400 RAM and a Sunflower SSD. Xu Qing tossed an orange at him and rattled off a list of components, leaving Wang Zijuan completely baffled. Just tell me how much the whole thing costs. Not much, about 120,000. F*******. Wang Zijuan clutched his head in agony and banged on his keyboard. I'm not building a missile. Just give me the best setup for 20 to 30,000. I'll write it down. Do you know how to assemble it? Xu Qing stopped joking and grabbed a pen and paper. You can assemble it for me. I'll ask a friend to assemble it and deliver it to you. You just pay when it arrives. Sound good? Wang Zijuan was satisfied. A solid 20 to 30K rig that won't lag when I'm gaming. My old setup literally started smoking, scared the hell out of me. I thought it was going to explode. It with tilde new beta. Blame your skills, not your computer. Xu Qing ignored him, leaning back on the couch and staring at the ceiling, slowly eating the orange one segment at a time. According to the plan, Jiang He needed to establish some sort of life record here. Go out for walks, greet the neighbors more often. He also needed Wang Zijuan to help create a plausible backstory for Jiang He's presence in Jiang City, smoothing out the timeline of her arrival. After that, all she had to do was get used to life here. Everything could be done in parallel. Once she was familiar with modern life, the rest would fall into place. What remained were just tedious formalities, investigations, paperwork. That was far better than her sudden appearance drawing police attention due to both a lack of identity and an abrupt arrival. That combination could be a real headache. Sometimes it's funny. You guys who can't afford anything seem to know everything, explaining it all like pros. Wang Zijuan found amusing. The ones who wanted to buy things didn't know how, while those who couldn't afford them knew all the details. Of course, we poor folks spend time learning, while you rich guys spend money to buy our time. That's just. Xu Qing stopped mid-sentence. Damn, he was talking as if Jiang he were here. You're so weird, you know that. Wang Zijuan almost jumped out of his seat. From the moment he entered, Xu Qing hadn't been acting normal. In the past, this guy would have just told him to get lost. Let me see if I got the wrong person. Your family doesn't have a younger brother named Su Hong, right? Wang Zijuan grabbed Xu Qing's face, inspecting it carefully. Something was off. You don't know what I've been through these past 6 months. Xu Qing brushed his hand away with a weary sigh. If he could, he'd show Wang Zijuan his Baidu search history. The bizarre questions he'd asked even had Baidu stumped. Having a Tang Dynasty girl in the house, his adaptability was already impressive. No, it was extremely impressive. Impressive enough that he wanted to date her. What have you been through? Wang Zijuan was puzzled. Dating a girl changed him this much? And this girl seemed to bring a lot of trouble. Have you seen my love from the star? Xu Qing asked. You're dating one of those dumb professors? Is she an alien? Wang Zijuan glanced toward the kitchen and almost burst out laughing. No. I mean, with your level of intelligence when watching dramas like that, I can't even begin to explain. Wang Zijuan didn't feel like laughing anymore. And that time with Liang Zi just proved how dumb you are. Xu Qing smirked. He trusted Wang Zijuan, but some things were better left unsaid. Knowing too many people always led to unexpected situations. Life was full of surprises. Don't bring that up. Wang Zijuan snorted and let it go. Liang Zi really wasn't the best. He had a wide circle of friends and got along with everyone. He rarely had conflicts, mainly because he was generous. It was hard to distinguish between true friends and hangers-on, something Xu Qing was better at. Bring Haozi over sometime. He might finally stop overthinking things. Wang Zijuan glanced at the figure in the kitchen and suggested, Forget it. He'll just argue with me. Xu Qing shook his head, then chuckled. Besides, he's busy with blind dates. In a hurry. It's not him, it's his old man. Thinking about Qin Hao's scowling face as he sat in a restaurant with some girl, they both laughed. After the laughter died down, Wang Zijuan mused, It feels like you two are living each other's lives. No, we're not. Xu Qing knew what he meant, but there was no way around it. If Qin Hao had encountered Jiang that rainy night, he'd have probably taken her straight to the station. Either he'd have successfully apprehended her, or she'd have taken him down as her first kill here. The latter had a 99% probability. Luck favored different people differently. For him, she was a girlfriend. For Qin Hao, she'd have been a bloody disaster. Given Jiang He's mental state back then, even a hint of hostility could have led to trouble. And Qin Hao's physique and demeanor, she'd have attacked on sight. Being handsome was a skill, too. Xu Qing rubbed his chin, feeling pleased with himself. Jiang He was in the kitchen, stir-frying vegetables. She occasionally glanced outside at the two of them talking, her heart pounding. She didn't know how to feel. Out of nowhere, he called her beautiful. What was he trying to do? While the two of them were chatting, on the other side, Qin Hao was indeed on a blind date. See if there's anything you want to eat. I come here often. The food's pretty good. He pushed the menu across the table and said to the girl sitting opposite him. The girl looked at the menu for braised chicken rice and, after a brief pause, ordered the signature dish. The signature's good. You'll see when you taste it. Qin Hao nodded approvingly at her choice and ordered the same dish for himself. You're a police officer? Yeah, just finished my probation period. Oh. Is being a cop tiring? It's all right. I wouldn't say it's exhausting, but the early mornings and late nights can really wear you down. Oh. The conversation was half-hearted, with awkward pauses. It could barely be called chatting. The girl quickly realized that although this chubby guy was enthusiastic, he didn't seem to have any romantic intentions. Coincidentally, neither did she. There were no questions about salary, benefits, housing, cars, or savings. Everything was clear. It stayed that way until the food arrived. They both started eating without ceremony. Qinghao even got a rice refill. The atmosphere didn't feel like a blind date at all. It wasn't until they finished eating and Qinghao wiped his mouth that it felt like they were on a date again. Were you forced into this blind date too? He gathered his courage to ask. Yes or no, it didn't really matter. They probably wouldn't meet again. You too. The girl repeated his words. Just as Qinghao scratched his head to apologize, the girl continued. Yeah, I was. His face lit up. Then he quickly composed himself. What a coincidence. It really is. There's going to be another one in a few days. So annoying. The girl nodded in agreement, still sitting there. So, they exchanged a look. The girl seemed to understand what he was getting at and raised an eyebrow. This one seemed reliable. Really reliable. Wang Zijuan took a bite of the food, lowered his head, and gave Xu Qing a thumbs up. No wonder he hadn't been going out lately. Staying home with good food, warmth, and comfort. What a life. Eat up, have more. Xu Qing grinned. Jiang he was quite talented at cooking. In just 2 months, she had already gotten the hang of it. It wasn't amazing, but home-cooked food was several times better than takeout. Plus, the satisfaction of making food at home made it 10 times better. Jiang he ate quietly, glancing at him occasionally. This felt like they had a guest at home, with the husband chatting while the wife cooked and served food. It was weird. Xu Qing didn't seem to mind. Ever since Jiang he arrived, everything had been weird. She herself was the weirdest part, and he had gotten used to it. After the meal, he sipped some tea and then started hinting for Wang Zijuan to leave. Now that there were 2 people living here, things were different. When he lived alone, Wang Zijuan would treat this place like his own home, playing games on the computer, raiding the fridge, or even crashing in his bed. It was normal, but now Jiang he was here. Even if she was just a temporary housemate or a fake girlfriend, her feelings had to be considered. An unfamiliar person lingering around would make her uncomfortable. Don't forget the computer thing. The sooner, the better. Wang Zijuan reminded him before leaving, wrapped in his coat, clutching his documents, and ready to go, giving the couple some space. I'll get it done soon. Xu Qing saw him out, wearing only a sweater. He shivered in the cold and quickly retreated inside. Jiang he had already cleaned up the dishes and moved to the kitchen. I'll do it. Jiang he turned around. Go take a break. Xu Qing rolled up his sleeves, turned on the hot water, and grinned at her. Go on. Oh, that paperwork I filled out earlier proves that you exist here. He sent me the address, and in a few days, I'll take you there. You might need it, or maybe not. But starting now, you're not just someone who appeared out of nowhere. As he washed the dishes, he continued talking to Jiang he in the living room. Your name is Jiang he, you're 18. You're 18, right? You don't remember much from earlier. No parents, used to wander around the mountains near Zhujiang. A few years ago, you came to Jiang City with a friend you met while drifting, and you've been doing odd jobs here ever since. So that's my identity? Jiang he memorized it carefully. That's the plan for now. We can fill in the gaps later. Then, a couple of years ago, you met me. We became good friends, and you'd occasionally come over to hang out. Eventually, we got close, fell in love, and had a great romance. Xu Qing turned to look at Jiang he in the living room. Do you know what a great romance is? Yes. It means we're a couple. Then I found out you didn't have an ID, so I tried to help you find your parents. But we couldn't. Eventually, I convinced you to move in with me, back in September. After washing and putting away the dishes, Xu Qing dried his hands and walked out. This makes it reasonable. I'm not just pretending to be your boyfriend. If we weren't dating, it wouldn't make sense for me to go to so much trouble. Only love is that powerful. Helping someone unrelated move in just seems suspicious. Even Aunt Cheng could tell something was up, let alone the police. They'd probably think he had other intentions. Though now, maybe he did just a little bit. Xu Qing sat in front of Jiang he and, after a pause, asked, Got it? Yes, a great romance. Jiang he nodded. Exactly. Seeing her sit upright so seriously made Xu Qing smile. He instinctively tucked a stray strand of her hair behind her ear. When he noticed her startled expression, he awkwardly cleared his throat and looked away. and we've been living together for a while. We don't know how long it'll take for you to fully settle here. When that time comes, we'll say we were planning to get married, but we ran into the ID issue, so we went to the police for help. It probably won't be that easy, but we'll figure it out. As long as people get used to you being here, you'll be fine. Were you flirting with me just now? Jiang He blinked, unsure how to respond. No, Xu Qing denied it. That wasn't flirting. That wasn't normal. Xu Qing scooted a bit farther away. We're a couple. It's normal for me to fix your hair. But we're fake. Jiang He wasn't buying it. Her heart had raced a little just now, the same feeling she got before a fight. She tried to calm herself down. This wasn't right. As the saying goes, Xu Qing scooted even farther. Once the show starts, you have to finish it, even if no one's watching. So, you my girlfriend? No, I'm your boyfriend. You my benefactor. You can't just touch me. Jiang He was serious. I won't. That was careless. Xu Qing deeply regretted it now. The action wasn't much in itself, but for Jiang He, it was too sudden. Why couldn't he keep his hands to himself? Don't worry, He scratched his head after a moment of thought and decided, forget it. I'll just be honest. Honest about what? Jiang He stared at him, a sense of dread creeping up on her. Xu Qing froze, suddenly realizing that a confession of honesty was basically a confession of feelings. This wasn't right. Meeting Jiang He's gaze, he steeled himself. I planned this. Look, we've known each other for so long, living under the same roof for months now. We talk, we hang out. Xu Qing gestured with his hands, thought for a moment, then explained in terms she could understand. There's a saying, affection grows over time. It's just feelings. After spending so much time together these past months, it's natural for me to develop feelings for you. You know what feelings are, right? A good feeling? Jiang He's sense of foreboding grew stronger. Close enough. Basically, it starts with not disliking someone, and then it turns into liking them a little. Liking someone is normal, right? Right. Jiang He was stunned. Could liking someone really be considered abnormal? Of course not. So it just happened totally subconsciously without any ulterior motives. Xu Qing ran a hand through his hair to emphasize his point. Jiang He widened her eyes slightly as she looked at him. Don't you have anything to say? Xu Qing was puzzled. What kind of reaction was this? Blushing a little would be fine. Or maybe clenching her fists and shouting. No, you're my benefactor, we can't. Anything would be better than this silent stare. Jiang He thought seriously for a moment. So you're saying you like me? Yeah, I like you now, Xu Qing admitted straightforwardly. Jiang He hesitated for a moment, then asked, Can you not like me? Xu Qing was stunned. Why shouldn't I like you? We're clear and innocent with a clear conscience. This is wrong. No, it's not. My liking you is clear and innocent, too. Why can't I like someone? Or are you secretly married or something? No. Jiang He shook her head instinctively. Well, I'm not married either. A single man and a single woman. This isn't shady at all. I'm openly and honestly liking someone. What's wrong with that? You can reject me, and I'll still help you. That's called being a simp. Xu Qing said seriously. Jiang He, I want to simp for you. Jiang He was dumbfounded, instinctively leaning back and eyeing him warily. Don't you dare. If you touch me, I'll hit you. After a pause, she suddenly stood up. No, I have to leave. Our debt is settled. Xu Qing didn't move and called her back. Over the past 6 months, I helped you get familiar with this place, and you taught me martial arts and cooking and other stuff. We're even. Jiang He froze in her tracks and shook her head. Teaching stance training isn't worth mentioning. That's not up to you. You can't imagine how valuable martial arts are here. If you want to leave, that's fine. How about this? You teach me another martial arts form, and I'll help you rent another place. This is fair trade. No need to worry about debts. Why? Because I like you. If you hadn't said all that just now, you could have tricked me into being your girlfriend. Jiang He turned back to look at him. Can feelings be tricked? Xu Qing smiled and shook his head. Even if I didn't say it, you'd eventually feel it. Then what would you do? Offer yourself in marriage out of gratitude? Or sneak away? There's always been an imbalance between us. You feel grateful to me. That's fine. Repaying a favor is normal. But since I started liking you, it's unfair to you and to me. Feelings aren't something you can control. I like you, and that has nothing to do with favors or debts. You're pretty, you're cute, you're a little silly. That's what I like. And liking someone means expressing it. But you're saying that because I helped you, I can't like you. Is that reasonable? Jiang was stunned. She couldn't untangle this logic. It's not reasonable. Xu Qing answered his own question. Why should helping you mean I can't like you? That's not fair to either of us. So if you want to leave, I won't stop you. Our debt is settled. You teach me another martial art. I help you find a place, and we're still even. Then we can talk about liking or not liking. Of course, you don't have to like me. You might not like my face, or that I'm a homebody, or maybe you just don't feel a spark. That's fine. But you can't say it's because I helped you. That's not fair to either of us. He spread his hands. We're clear and innocent with a clear conscience. Liking you doesn't break any laws. Does it? I never thought about it that way. Jiang stood in the living room, flustered. By the time you think it through, it'll be too late, Xu Qing said. You've been resisting this whole time. Try to leave the moment you sense it. That's not right. Liking is just liking, whether it's affection over time or love at first sight. There's no logic to it. We live to make ourselves happy. If liking me makes you happy, then embrace it. If not liking me makes you happy, then leave openly. What does that have to do with debts? But, no buts. Second boss said you shouldn't offer yourself in marriage. That's when there's no affection involved. But unless you plan to live alone forever, you'll need someone by your side. Why should helping you disqualify me? I didn't disqualify you. Jiang's face turned red. Then why are you leaving? Jiang froze. Yeah, why was she leaving? You said you'd simp for me. Xu Qing opened his mouth. I just meant I'd be good to you, not actually simp for you. Really? I don't believe you. You'll hit me. Because it's gross. I'm scared of you hitting me, so I won't simp. No grossness involved. Jiang was out of words. Come sit down. Let's talk more about this I like you thing. Xu Qing patted the couch. No. Jiang snapped back to her senses. Even though he made a lot of sense, things shouldn't be like this. She'd just been planning to leave, and this guy was trying to trick. No, not trick. Jiang returned to her room. She closed the door, sat on the bed, and didn't hold a hand warmer. She just sat at the edge of the bed, looking out the window, lost in thought. Caught off guard. She had already sensed that something was off with Xu Qing. She had secretly observed him, wondering if she had misunderstood. Later, when she saw him trying to bridge the gap in information between them and genuinely helping her understand this place, she pushed those thoughts aside. And then, he suddenly confessed today. The reversal was too quick. If you like someone, just like them openly. If you don't, then leave openly. It has nothing to do with gratitude. The key was, she hadn't even thought about these things. Some time ago, when she felt a twinge of guilt, she had even considered sneaking away. She didn't even know why she wanted to leave. Thinking about it now, it seemed it was because he was her benefactor, always helping her. At this thought, Jiang felt a little ashamed. Having thoughts she shouldn't have toward her benefactor was just wrong. Wait a minute, wasn't this exactly what Xu Qing just said? She reached up to touch the strands of hair by her ear, her expression growing serious. So this is what fell off. In the living room, Xu Qing was still sitting there, his hands crossed behind his head, leaning back on the couch, staring at the ceiling. Feelings like this, sure, you could fake them, but that wouldn't do. He had originally planned to take things slow, waiting until she got used to everything here before considering anything else. But why couldn't he just keep his hands to himself? Jiang had already considered sneaking away once. If he didn't clarify things now, she'd probably figure things out and definitely run off. So he had no choice but to lay it all out for her. And with diaresis, spelling everything out, whether she stayed or left, was better than letting her slowly realize his feelings and then sneak away on some dark, windy night with her little bag and long sword to wander the world. Even if she insisted on leaving, he could at least arrange a place for her to stay. Otherwise, she'd have nowhere to go and might end up scaling walls and sleeping on rooftops wrapped in a coat to stay warm. Nowadays, everything was made of concrete and steel. She wouldn't get far before starving. So he just went for it. He had to make Jiang he understand the difference between gratitude and affection. The two couldn't be lumped together. If he didn't make this clear, she'd keep mixing the two up, and things would get weird. Was he lying? No. It's just that liking someone doesn't follow logic. Trying to rationalize it is the biggest joke of all. But Jiang he needed logic. Her little head was hung up on this idea of gratitude. So he had to explain it to her. Otherwise, she'd always have this thorn in her heart. Liking is liking. Not liking is not liking. If she doesn't like him, he'd just have to stick around until she did. If he couldn't even do that, how could he call it liking? Of course, that was only after she figured things out and set aside her sense of obligation. Otherwise, convincing her now would be deceitful, not genuine pursuit. What needed to be repaid should be repaid. What needed to be thanked should be thanked. Liking should be liking, and not liking should be not liking. If, in the end, she truly didn't like him, so be it. His feelings didn't need logic, and her lack of feelings didn't need it either. Xu Qing was clear on that. If it really turned out that way, having once liked her would still be a nice memory. But letting gratitude get in the way? No way. These past few months of living together had been pretty happy. The afternoon sunlight slanted into the living room, lighting up half of Xu Qing's face. He tilted his head and glanced at Jiang He's door, which remained closed. Leave? Stay? Who knew what she was thinking? She'd probably choose to leave. He sighed softly, feeling a sense of loss. Winter Melon paced around the table, then jumped up beside him on the couch, curling up in a patch of sunlight filtering through the window. Lazily closing its eyes, its tail brushed across Xu Qing's leg. It wasn't until dusk that Jiang He's door finally creaked open. She walked out with a serious expression, stealing a glance at Xu Qing before heading straight to the kitchen. Hearing the noise, Xu Qing turned his head, stunned for a moment. Watching her shuffle into the kitchen in her slippers, the room suddenly felt brighter. Figure things out? He asked, leaning against the kitchen doorway, watching her tie on an apron. Figure what out? Jiang he turned her head, avoiding his gaze. What were you thinking about in there for so long? I took a nap. Xu Qing froze. You were napping all afternoon? Yeah, that's right. She tied her apron, paused, then looked up at him seriously. You made a good point. Gratitude is gratitude, and Li, those two things are different. So you can like me, but you can't chase after me. Okay, I won't chase you. Xu Qing resisted the urge to pinch her cheek. She looked kind of cute like this. And no crossing boundaries like what you just did. Jiang he gestured by brushing her hair back. Okay, no crossing boundaries. You told me to leave before and I didn't. If I left now, I'd be betraying your kindness. I'll work hard to repay you. And then, Jiang he hesitated, her ears turning red. Then we'll talk about it later. Talk about it later? Xu Qing's expression turned strange. Talk about it later. Jiang he affirmed with a firm nod. All right, we'll talk about it later. Xu Qing leaned against the doorway, not moving. Then he said, if I ever do that thing again, you can hit me, just don't kill me. I'm weak, so go easy. Just don't talk about leaving. I can't hit you. Jiang he shook her head. Then what was with the clenched fists earlier? I was just thinking about it. Great. She still wanted to hit him. This girl's go-to response was always violence. The sound of the knife hitting the cutting board echoed. Jiang he chopped half a head of vegetables, then glanced back at Xu Qing, still standing there. Why are you still here? Watching. Don't distract me from cooking. Standing here distracts you? Xu Qing shrugged, but didn't move, continuing to lean against the doorframe. He asked, can you tell the difference between gratitude and affection? When I help you and you feel grateful, that's normal. But gratitude and affection are two different things. I'm worried you'll mix them up. He explained, if you mistake gratitude for affection, it's no different from me lying to you. I don't like you. Jiang He's voice was loud. Okay. I'm just asking if you can tell the difference. No need to shout. Xu Qing wanted to laugh. Classic guilty conscience. I wasn't shouting, Jiang he denied. After hesitating, she asked, how do you tell the difference? Want me to teach you? Okay. Then promise you won't hit me or talk about leaving. This is just a normal demonstration to see if you like me or not. I don't like you. Jiang he refuted, then added, go ahead with the demonstration. All right, don't move. Just stay still. It's just a test. Xu Qing stepped into the kitchen, stood behind her, and gently hugged her. The warmth of her sweater seeped through to him. The faint scent of her shampoo filled his nose, and he cautiously took a whiff. How does it feel? And nothing. Jiang he froze in front of the cutting board, flustered, her heart beating faster against her will. Death is like the wind, always by my side. If he didn't genuinely like it, Xu Qing really wanted to experience that thrill. Unfortunately, he didn't want to make a reckless move. After carefully assessing his emotions in the small kitchen, Xu Qing realized he felt completely satisfied. He let go and took a step back. A simple hug was enough to satisfy him. Yes, he definitely liked her. If you like someone, your heart will beat really fast. You can even look it up on Baidu. Xu Qing explained seriously. So if one day you're unsure, you can ask me to help check it for you. Just give me a heads up before hugging me. Don't just grab me out of nowhere. Beats fast. Jiang he gripped the knife tightly, nervous beyond words. I'm doomed. Where's that benefactor vibe now? Yes. If you don't believe me, feel my pulse. You martial artists should know how to do that, right? Check and see if it's racing. Xu Qing rolled up his sleeve and extended his arm. I'm not doing it. Jiang he shook her head furiously like a rattling drum. All right then. Do you maybe feel? I don't. Xu Qing shrugged. Okay, then just focus on cooking. I won't bother you. If she didn't feel anything, she would have dodged long ago. With his weak martial skills, there was no way he could have touched her, including that moment at noon when he brushed her hair. Sigh. Second boss, you're causing trouble. As Xu Qing walked out, Jiang he bit her lip and stole a quick glance at his back before quickly turning away. I'm really doomed. Sitting at his desk, Xu Qing held a pen and fell into thought. Feelings were secondary. Helping Jiang he integrate in a modern life was the priority. She needed to live a normal life. Right now, Jiang he could manage, but something was still missing. Most notably, she didn't know how to smile, or at least she rarely did. People nowadays found humor in all sorts of things to keep themselves happy, but not Jiang he. Her mental world was barren. Beta. In her time, spiritual nourishment came from poetry, music, painting, and calligraphy, luxuries of another social class, irrelevant to her. At best, she might buy a sugar figurine when times are good. Having never been exposed to modern forms of entertainment, Jiang he only understood basic emotions like joy, anger, sorrow, and fear. Her inner world was closed off to anything else. When watching a Qiangyao drama, she stared blankly at the characters crying. When watching comedy, she seriously listened to the dialogue. Horror movies? She just clutched her sword defensively. Modern entertainment was a puzzle she couldn't solve. Even games felt like clocking in at work, completing tasks diligently. She was trying hard to adapt, but all her efforts were focused on survival, not leisure, and certainly not love. This was where art came in. Social interaction wasn't something you could learn solely through compulsory education. Otherwise, she'd have to attend school with a bunch of kids to learn how to build relationships from scratch. Dinner's ready. Jiang he brought out the dishes, looking calm again. All right, give me a second. Xu Qing turned the computer screen toward the table and queued up Lost on Journey. This is a comedy film. It's meant to make you laugh by exaggerating a character's traits and adding various coincidences. He dished out the rice while explaining. Amid the jokes, there are thought-provoking moments. In a little over an hour, you'll see what the characters experience over several days. It's a kind of learning. Jiang he nodded at the computer. He's a toy company boss, but business is bad. This goofy guy is a milkman who's owed wages. Their conflict brings them together. That's the main plot. Worried she wouldn't understand, Xu Qing rambled on. I get it. Jiang he focused hard on the movie, trying to grasp the character's actions. If something's unclear, just ask. Once you can laugh while watching it, you'll be halfway there. Xu Qing imagined her perspective. What's this guy doing? What's that guy up to? Why are they doing that? What's funny about this? It was a gap in understanding, a lack of emotional connection. This is about Chunyun, the spring festival travel rush. People return home for the new year, but there aren't enough trains, so everyone crams in, trying to get tickets. Are there many people working away from home? Lots. For example, the owner of that breakfast shop we go to is from Bashu. He closes the shop during the new year to go home and comes back after half a month. Xu Qing was pleased with his movie choice. It covered a lot, giving Jiang He a general idea of modern life. At least now, if she encountered terms like Chunyun, long-distance travel, trains, planes, rural and urban areas, or hotels, she wouldn't be completely lost. When Wang Baoqiang drank the milk, Xu Qing chuckled. Even after multiple viewings, it still amused him. He glanced at Jiang He, who was watching intently, her expression unchanged. Don't you find it funny? Xu Qing sighed. I probably could. Jiang He estimated the milk bottle size and confidently declared, I can drink that much. They were talking past each other. I don't mean if you can drink it. It's just funny. What's funny about not wasting it? It'd be a shame to throw it away, Jiang He said, puzzled with a hint of pity. So much milk. She could make it last a long time. She saw a poor man struggle. He could have shipped it home, though that costs extra. Never mind. Let's keep watching. Xu Qing shook his head and ate a few bites. Integrating an ancient person into modern life wasn't easy. It was exhausting, but who told him to like her? They finished eating halfway through the movie. Xu Qing let Jiang He sit on the couch to watch while he washed the dishes. Then he joined her, both of them and the cat cuddled up on the sofa, watching a comedy. In a normal setting, it would be quite cozy, and honestly, it was pretty nice now too. Before a fight, my heart also beats really fast, Jiang He suddenly said. What? Xu Qing, caught off guard, blinked in confusion. Before he could process it, Jiang He was already focused on the movie again. This girl, had she been dwelling on that conversation the whole time since the movie concluded without any major waves? Apart from that one scene with the thief, when Xu Qing took the opportunity to instill some modern social core values in her, he didn't say much more. He only explained when Jiang He asked questions. Take it slow, no rush. Xu Qing reassured himself, handed the computer over to her, started DNF with a gentle pat, and went off to the side to write a movie review on his phone. It was an old movie. Writing about it didn't really matter since no one would read it, and he didn't plan to post it. But since he decided to do it, he went ahead and did it seriously, a good exercise at the very least. This was a good habit. Whether intentional or not, you have to plant the seeds to see them sprout. If you never buy a lottery ticket, you'll never win 2 yuan. In the brightly lit living room, the only sound was the occasional tragic scream of a goblin. Xu Qing sat on the couch, typing on his phone, occasionally glancing at Jiang He, who was focused on operating her Go swordsman, starting another round of her gaming journey. A Tang Dynasty girl playing games here, it was surprisingly harmonious. Outside, the night was deep. Sparse starlight scattered across the sky, giving the scene a peaceful and tranquil feeling. Play a little longer, then it's time for bed, Xu Qing reminded her as he stretched after writing a 2,000-word review. He got up to find his pajamas and prepare for a shower. It had been a tiring day. Just waiting for Jiang He to work things out in the afternoon, had his mind running simulations and preparing for all sorts of outcomes. The long speech he gave her had drained his brain cells, too. But at least she was steady now. Jiang He listened as he entered his room, then heard him walk into the bathroom and close the door. Only then did she let out a sigh of relief, her straight posture relaxing slightly. She appeared calm, but inside, she was panicking. She kept worrying that Xu Qing would say something about liking her again. She had no idea how to respond to that. The conversation from the afternoon still had her head in a mess. By the way, Xu Qing suddenly poked his head out of the bathroom. Jiang He immediately straightened up and stared at the computer intently. You should practice more with simplified characters. You can understand the sentences, but it's still not very convenient. I bought a set of Pinyin learning books. They should arrive in a few days, and you should study them. Once you learn, you could type with the keyboard. With grave beta. Understand. You should say, all right, I understand. Thank you, young hero. Xu Qing joked to himself, unfazed by her lack of enthusiasm. Well, Maybe it wasn't exactly a lack of enthusiasm. She just wasn't good at socializing. Water cascaded over his head as he lathered up with shampoo and body wash, humming a tune and looking forward to the future. So what if she wasn't good at socializing? Not everyone in the modern world was a chatterbox, though having someone talkative could be cute. Still, the current situation was nice, too. 2 successful hugs, achievement +1. It felt like he was making progress. After his shower, he admired himself in the mirror for a moment, put on his pajamas, and closed the bathroom door to keep the heat in. "I won't wash my hair tonight," he announced. "Huh? Oh, all right, sleep early." Xu Qing put away the hairdryer, looked around, saw that everything was fine, and gave her a quick reminder before heading back to his room. Even though he wanted to chat with He a bit more, he knew saying too much wouldn't be good. Asking again if she liked him would be too much. She needed her own space to think things through. "Good night, Lady Night." "Good night, Xu Qing." He glanced at the clock. It was only 9. After hesitating, she decided not to practice martial arts and kept playing the game, fighting goblins until 10:30. Then, she shut down the game and glanced at Xu Qing's door before opening Baidu to ask some questions. Night. The moonlight was cold and clear. Xu Qing was fast asleep, tightly wrapped in his blanket, with one leg sticking out, unfazed by the cold. The doorknob turned gently, and the door silently opened. He slipped inside, holding her breath as she listened for a moment, confirming his steady breathing before moving towards the bed. Like? Not like. She crouched down, studying Xu Qing's face intently. In the darkness, she could only make out his general outline. After a long while, he stood up, scanned the room, and hesitated. Then she leaned closer, as if sensing something, before sneaking out and carefully closing the door. The room returned to silence, as if nothing had happened. Morning. Early the next day, Xu Qing and he opened their doors at the same time. They greeted each other and began their stance training. Training made a difference. Each morning, Xu Qing felt incredibly refreshed, though it might also have something to do with he practicing her sword across from him. But he preferred to credit the stance training, believing it to be a top-tier technique for health and longevity. "Can you exhale white mist? I heard that if you train deeply enough, you can exhale some kind of white stuff." Xu Qing always suspected he's martial arts weren't as simple as they seemed. This petite figure could snap a tree. She must be hiding her true strength. White mist. He glanced out the window. "I can't outside." "Outside? I can too." It was winter. Who couldn't? Amid internal energy, like Tang Zichen's. Solid, concentrated breath. Who's Tang Zichen? Wang Chao's master. You wouldn't know. Xu Qing waved his hand, finished his practice, and let out a breath. A character in a novel. I'll show you someday. For now, there's too much to learn about the modern world. Are you thinking? If I don't know, why bring it up? Xu Qing teased. He raised an eyebrow, surprised. What was with this guy? He knew what she was thinking, but still said it out loud, and then asked her if she was thinking it. If you want to say something, just say it. That's called toot sao. Learning to toot sao makes you seem less serious. Toot sao. He learned a new term. Yeah, it's a way of life. Like when I post videos as an up creator, I often toot sao about how unrealistic period dramas are. Just toot sao when it's needed, and be serious when it's needed. It makes things better. Xu Qing wasn't a psychology expert, but he had his own way of handling things. People who could toot sao were more relaxed than those who were always serious. Expressing thoughts was a way of communicating and building relationships. Live a relaxed life. Did you not sleep well? You look a little tired. He noticed the fatigue on He's face. I went to bed a little late, he replied nonchalantly. In reality, she hadn't slept at all. Every generation carries the marks of its time. Take my grandmother's generation, for example. They experienced poverty, hunger, communal meals, and being sent to the countryside. They spent their whole lives struggling, and even when they should be enjoying their retirement, they can't seem to relax. They wake up before the sun rises every day, and if they have nothing to do, they'll grab a broom and sweep around the front gate, almost as if they want to sweep away a layer of the road itself. Since Jiang He arrived, Xu Qing had unknowingly turned into a chatterbox. Whenever he had free time, he would babble on, and surprisingly, Jiang He liked listening to him, almost as if she were hearing stories. Everything seemed fresh to her. Then came my dad's generation. Life started getting better. Well, it wasn't that good, just a lot better than the previous generation. Especially when he grew up. Housing and jobs were all allocated by the state. Everything was stable. As long as you focused on your work, you'd be fine. That's why they had a fervent desire for the iron rice bowl, and they wanted their children to also work within the system, get government paychecks, and have stability no matter what. And you, Jiang He only half understood. She vaguely knew that working in the system was equivalent to working for the authorities. I'm the newest generation. What we pursue is the meaning of life, the meaning of being alive, the meaning of life. Yeah, the meaning of life. I often reflect on why we live and what we live for. Xu Qing struck a philosophical pose, pushing up his non-existent glasses with his finger. What's the meaning? The meaning of life is simple. We're already here. We're already here? Jiang He looked even more confused. Yeah, we're already here, so why not just live? And then there's a second layer of meaning, to be happy or to be free. Since we're already here, we should make life enjoyable and have fewer regrets. There's no need to compare ourselves with others. Everyone experiences their own joys and sorrows. Only they know how it feels. As long as I know I'm content, that's enough. Simply put, life is short, so enjoy the present. Of course, not everyone in our generation thinks this way. But this way of thinking belongs to our generation. You might not see it now, but in many years, the marks of our era will be obvious. Seeing Jiang He's puzzled expression, he continued, "You also carry the marks of your era, which is even older than my grandmother's. Well, it is older than hers. For example, when you hear the term stability in droughts and floods, how does it sound to you? It sounds really dependable." Jiang He inexplicably liked the phrase. Stability in droughts and floods is synonymous with dependability because it means you won't starve no matter what happens. That's a common trait of people who've suffered hunger. They never want to experience it again. But for many people today, it's just a phrase without any special meaning. That's the difference between us. Our values are different. Xu Qing paused to let her absorb that, then continued. Of course, that doesn't mean I'm better than you, or you're better than me. There's no distinction between high and low. Whether you've gone hungry or not is just an experience, nothing more. My grandmother lives happily in our hometown every day, and that's perfectly fine. But the key is, you need to learn to embrace new things. Don't instinctively reject them. You might discover new joys. There's so much beauty in this world you haven't experienced yet. Clinging to old ways would be such a pity. Like what? Jiang He asked. Like, can I hold your hand? Holding hands is a beautiful thing. It makes your heart race. Xu Qing glanced at her hand. It's a small thing, but I'd really like you to experience that kind of beauty. Jiang He stared blankly at his serious expression. Discovering new joys, new beauty, starts with holding hands? Want to try? We're pretending to be a couple anyway. It's just holding hands, no big deal. Xu Qing asked. Come on, it's not like I'm doing anything else. Holding hands, just think of it like holding a sword. My hand is the sword, cutting down all the nonsense. He waved his hand dramatically, as if brandishing a weapon. Our Nigerian Ira, oh yes. Well, okay, you try. Jiang He hesitated, rolled up her sleeves, and extended her hand. Well, it's not a big deal. Sitting here doesn't count as holding hands. It's just touching. Isn't that a bit indecent? Xu Qing stood up and put on his coat. Let's go for a walk. In the depths of winter, even the sunlight lacked warmth, offering only a faint sense of comfort. The snow would melt during the day and refreeze at night. It wasn't yet noon, so the ground was still slick with ice. Jiang He didn't play her ice sliding game this time, letting Xu Qing hold her hand as they walked slowly together. Feel anything different? Xu Qing asked. No. What about this? He lightly traced his pinky across her palm. Jiang He jerked her hand back and stared at him with wide eyes. That's the feeling, just a demonstration. Now, give me your hand. Xu Qing guided her hand into his again and leisurely swung it. No feeling? Yeah, right. Her palm was sweating in the cold winter air. Her hand was warm, the calluses on her palm a bit rough, but the back of her hand was smooth. Morning, Uncle Zhao. At the entrance of the Jiahe complex, Xu Qing greeted Uncle Zhao. Just as they were about to leave, Xu Qing remembered something. All right, I haven't seen Aunt Chung for a while. She's staying at her daughter Shally's place for a while. What? Uncle Zhao huddled in the security booth, smoking. Need something from her? No, just asking. Xu Qing held Jiang He's hand and left. Uncle Zhao, you should cut down on smoking. This smoke is the only thing keeping me alive. Uncle Zhao joked behind them. Jiang He, taking small steps beside Xu Qing, curiously asked, What's that smoke? It's a form of entertainment. It stimulates the mind and can be addictive. It's not a good thing. Then why do people smoke? Because they like it. Xu Qing casually squeezed her hand. Like how my hand is a bit cold, but I still want to hold yours. That's liking. Jiang He turned her head away. Don't say things like that. I'm just explaining. These things aren't logical. Like moths to a flame. They like the fire. Stopping at the bus stop, Xu Qing said, There aren't always reasons for everything. If you like something, you just do it. What if I don't like it? Jiang He asked. Didn't I say yesterday? Not liking something isn't logical either. If you don't like it, you can just refuse me. It's your freedom. Jiang He's fingers twitched, but she said nothing, staring off in another direction. A bus arrived. Xu Qing led her on board, tossed 2 coins into the fare box, and walked to the empty seats at the back. As the bus started, the scenery outside flashed by the window. I'm just experiencing the joy you mentioned, Jiang He finally said, looking out the window. Yeah, I know. Xu Qing nodded seriously, still holding her hand. This girl was a bit silly. Took her forever. Where are we going? To the dock for some fries. Question mark. Noticing Jiang He's confused expression, Xu Qing tilted his head. We're going to take care of something, then grab a meal, catch a movie, have some milk tea, take a walk, and do some shopping before heading back. All that in one go. It's not that much. Just follow me, and you'll be fine. The main goal is to fully experience life. Like watching a movie, it's supposed to be entertainment, not a task. You're too serious about it. Feel the atmosphere of the cinema. It'll help you understand why it exists and what it means. Otherwise, I'll be the only one laughing there, and that's just awkward. Xu Qing always found ways to combine different things. Whether it was a talent or something else was anyone's guess. The bus arrived at Jiang City Plaza, and they got off. Jiang He tightened her collar with one hand and glanced down at their clasped hands, following Xu Qing forward. This feeling of being led everywhere was new to her. It was like she didn't have to think or worry about anything. He would arrange it all. She just had to follow. After weaving left and right through Jiang City Plaza, they entered the electronics market. The temperature shot up, and the chill from outside disappeared. Xu Qing guided her onto the escalator. Seeing her curiously looking around, he couldn't resist the urge to mess with her hair or fix her scarf. Calm down, Gaobo. After winding through the shopping area on the 4th floor, Xu Qing stopped in front of a small, unassuming store and let go of Jiang He's hand to greet someone inside. The store was packed with headphones, keyboards, mice, and computer accessories. A tall, scruffy guy with long hair was wrestling with a laptop and a screwdriver. When he heard Xu Qing, he looked up, his face breaking into a smile. Hey, Qingji, how's business? Xu Qing pulled a stool over for Jiang He and stepped inside, glancing around. Same as always. That promo you did last time brought in a few more orders. Li Gaobo set aside his work and pushed another stool forward. Out shopping with your girlfriend? Need a computer built. For her. No, for someone else. Xu Qing didn't sit down. He grabbed a pen and paper from the counter, scribbled an address, and copied a phone number from his mobile. Call this number after work. Build the machine and deliver it. Just the tower. No need for headphones or keyboards. Who's it for that needs? Go with a budget around 20,000 yuan. It's mainly for gaming. Whoa, Li Gaobo snatched the note. Big spender. Use market prices and build it like you would for yourself. If you need parts, buy them from trusted contacts. Don't use low-quality stuff, Xu Qing instructed. Wang Zijuan wasn't short on cash, but he hated when dishonest shops pushed overpriced, low-quality builds on him. He'd rather send someone a 3,000 yuan tip than let a shop make a 2,000 yuan profit by cutting corners. Qingji, you're a real brother. Li Gaobo flicked his hair back, already thinking about the build. I haven't kept up with the latest hardware. Things change too fast. I'll leave this to you. Xu Qing took a look around the cluttered shop and sighed. Other stores are all neat and shiny. Yours looks like a pigsty. That's the mark of a pro. Promae ***. Clean it up. Who knows, if he's happy, he might buy computers for his girlfriends from you in the future. You be set, just from selling computers to his girlfriends? Li Gaobo scoffed. You know my margins are slim. That's because you don't know how fast he changes girlfriends. Xu Qing joked and stopped at the counter. Got any used tablets or laptops? Something cheap. What for? Nothing gaming-related. The computer at home was enough for Jianghe. He just wanted something for his own use while she was at work. I've got one I bought for 800 yuan. Works fine for video editing or light gaming, Li Gaobo said, pointing to the laptop he was fixing. Just needs a bit of repair. Let me know when it's fixed. I'll take it. Sure thing. Li Gaobo nodded and rummaged through the shelves. What kind of case for the 20,000 build? Something flashy. Go with your taste. With everything settled, Xu Qing grabbed Jianghe's hand. The sooner, the better. If you can finish it today, deliver it after work. Leave it to me. You're off already. Taking my girlfriend shopping. Ugh. Xu Qing waved and headed back toward the escalator. Is this place just for computers? Jianghe asked, still looking around. It was her first time in an electronics market, and she was fascinated by all the shops. Pretty much. Buying, selling, repairs, anything computer-related, Xu Qing explained, standing one step below her on the escalator, so they were at eye level. That guy's a friend of mine. He dropped out of school halfway and started his own shop. That makes him a get-a-who, self-employed. He's got a skill that keeps him going. Do you have any skills you like? Does fighting count? Jianghe thought for a moment. It was the only thing she was good at. I guess. Xu Qing tried to think of jobs involving fighting. Maybe making videos, but she'd have to hold back and not go too wild. If you're interested in anything else, let me know. I'll see if you can learn it. Fighting. Girls shouldn't always be swinging swords around. He squeezed her hand gently. Your calloused hands aren't good. Jianghe bit her lip and looked away. Her hand twitched, but didn't pull free. Her heart was pounding just like he described. Her ears burned red. Girls shouldn't. The phrase hit her somewhere deep inside. I heard soaking your hands in vinegar can help. Girls' hands should be soft. Xu Qing, oblivious to her reaction, kept talking and absent-mindedly squeezed her hand again. This time, Jianghe pulled away in a panic. Stop squeezing my hand. The people on the escalator stared. Xu Qing instantly became the center of attention. Ahem. He looked away, trying to act nonchalant. A girl's hand should naturally be soft and delicate. There's a term called roti, which originally referred to the tender buds of a plant. Later, it was used as a metaphor for a girl's hands, soft, fair, and delicate. Compared to a man's hands, a girl's hands are naturally smaller by several sizes. Even though Jianghe practiced martial arts, her hands hadn't developed like a man's. They were strong, yes, but when relaxed, they weren't that different from an ordinary girl's hands. Only her palms were a bit rougher, giving them a unique texture when held. Xu Qing could no longer hold her hand, so he could only savor the memory as he tucked his own hands into his pockets. Seeing someone in front of him turn to look back, he returned their gaze with a blank expression. Where were we? As they silently exited the electronics market, he spoke again, pretending nothing had happened. All right, that hand. Don't talk about my hand. Jianghe snapped. Craft. We were talking about handcraft skills, Xu Qing shrugged. If you know some crafts or handmade skills, especially unique ones, you can make a living. From ancient times to now, the principle of rarity equaling value has never changed. For example, there's someone called Handmade Gung who relies on his quirky inventions. As he spoke, he took out his phone. Finding his hands too cold, he put it back in his pocket. Let's wait until we get somewhere warmer to look at this. After saying this, Xu Qing reached out his hand toward Jiang He, holding it still. What are you doing? Jiang He asked, huddled in her small cotton coat. Give me your hand. No, I won't pinch it, Xu Qing promised. Jiang He hesitated before extending her hand again, half clenched in her sleeve. Xu Qing rummaged for a bit before pulling her warm little hand out and holding it again. Hey, Beta, can you feel the sensation I was talking about? No. Then why did you pull back just now? I don't like being pinched. Then why did you pinch me? Xu Qing asked, only to feel like his hand was caught in a clamp, almost making him jump off the street. Stop. Let go. I didn't squeeze you that hard. Jiang He loosened her grip and looked away, not saying anything, though her mood had clearly improved. This guy really deserved a beating. Finally, she'd gotten a bit of revenge. Did it hurt? What do you think? Xu Qing hissed through his teeth. This girl had too much strength in her hands. Then why didn't you let go? Jiang He's hand fidgeted slightly. Because of her earlier grip, she had ended up clasping his hand. Now, even though she had stopped squeezing, Xu Qing still held on. Why should I let go? She didn't say anything more. Her instincts told her that if she asked again, Xu Qing would come up with some nonsensical reason. Something like, even though it hurts, I really like it. Even though it hurts, There it is. Jiang He quickly lowered her head, not wanting to hear his rambling. Shut up. This guy was too annoying. All right. Xu Qing didn't continue. He held her hand and stood in the middle of the plaza, hesitating as he planned their next move. He'd helped Wang Zijuan with the task he promised. Later, they needed to head to the location Wang Zijuan had sent to help her get familiar with her former workplace. Then it was shopping, eating, and watching a movie. The day was packed. Are you hungry? He asked. A little. Let's eat later. Let's finish what we came here to do first. Xu Qing decided to complete their task before focusing on personal matters. Finish what? Go to the docks. Docks? What are you talking about? He looked confused. Didn't you say we were going to the docks to get fries? Jiang He was puzzled too. That was just a joke. We'll talk about it later. Xu Qing had said it casually and hadn't expected her to remember. Use your brain to remember our current location. This is Jiang City Plaza. See that big statue over there? He pointed to a giant bronze sculpture not far away. It depicted a strong man in a sheepskin coat, probably a local hero, though Xu Qing couldn't recall his name. Remember the path we'll take. Head towards the statue, then turn left at the traffic light. They started walking past 2 traffic lights and finally stopped in front of a somewhat quiet nightclub. It was almost noon, so the nightclub was empty. They didn't go in, just stood outside. Jiang He glanced around, about to ask a question, when Xu Qing spoke first. This is where you used to work. About 2 years ago, you sold drinks here. Oh. Jiang He recalled the cover story Xu Qing had created for her and took care to remember the address. What kind of place is this? This is a nightclub. Not exactly a good place, and the job wasn't a great one either, but given your background, it fits. Xu Qing paused. People come here to sing, dance, and drink. Is it like the brothels you know? Maybe. I've never been to one. Probably similar. Just think of this as a brothel, minus the obvious transactions. It's mostly singing, dancing, and partying. I sold drinks in a brothel. Jiang He asked, dazed. No. If necessary, you used to sell drinks here. If no one checks, all's good. Xu Qing shook his head. It's just a precaution. Better to have a backup plan. Will that rich guy check? He won't. He even helped arrange this. Don't worry. He trusts me. Even if he were a spy, he'd cover it up and then join others in beating me up. He can't beat you. Jiang He had already noticed that the rich guy was far weaker than Xu Qing, unsteady on his feet, thin, and drained by indulgence. That's why he'd call others. Xu Qing chuckled. Do you think that stance training worked for him? His foundation is too weak. He'll hurt himself. Jiang He shook her head. Then I'm doing better? Yeah, definitely better. Xu Qing didn't dwell on the topic and gestured around. Remember this place? Can you find it by yourself? If I come from that direction, yes. Jiang He pointed toward Jiang City Plaza. She paused, looking at the nightclub, and hesitantly asked, Can I go inside and take a look? Huh. There's no one inside now. It only gets lively at night. Jiang He stared at the sign on the door, silent for a moment. But she couldn't suppress her curiosity and asked bravely, I just want to see what a brothel looks like. In the past, brothels were places only officials and scholars could enter. Now that she was at the doorstep, it felt like a waste not to peek inside. No, Xu Qing pulled her away. Girls shouldn't look at these things. It's bad for you. Curiosity was good, but not this kind of curiosity. He reconsidered, watching her glance back at the nightclub. What do you want to eat? Shredded potatoes? No, today we're eating something better. Potatoes tomorrow. Then just something casual. All right, let's do a buffet. On the cold winter street, the two walked hand in hand, their breath visible in the chilly air before disappearing. 1,000 years ago, 1,000 years later, who knew how many people had walked this path? Now, these two from different times were experiencing the joy of ordinary life. It was simple and unremarkable, but happiness was enough. Last time, they had buffet hot pot, so this time Xu Qing didn't take her to the same place again. There were still so many good things Jiang he hadn't experienced yet. Repeating the same thing on this trip felt like a bit of waste. Sir, how many guests? 2. Xu Qing spoke to the server while holding Jiang He's hand. She turned her head to look around the restaurant. Unlike the steaming hot pot place last time, here each table had a grill, and the place was livelier than the hot pot restaurant they visited before. Buffet barbecue. You pick, I'll grill. After paying the bill and collecting the receipt, Xu Qing leaned in and whispered to her, handing over 2 receipts. Let's see how lucky you are. What's this? Scratch off. You might win a prize. Never thought I'd still see this kind of receipt nowadays. He demonstrated with the few he still held. See this part here? You scratch it off. If you win a big prize. Nope, no luck. Now, scratch yours and see. Do these really have prizes? Jiang He mimicked him, scratched off the 2 receipts, carefully compared them, but didn't understand. She simply handed them to him. You won. Xu Qing raised his eyebrows. What did I win? Jiang He asked, surprised. Congratulations, you won 3rd prize. The right to warm your hands in my pocket. A passing server was stunned. Good grief. Can't he have a little shame? Go get some food. Take whatever you like. Don't just pile on veggies like last time. Pick what you enjoy. Xu Qing was just joking and didn't expect to trick her. He washed the utensils and led her to the buffet area. The odds of winning these scratch-offs were lower than the lottery. Just a little fun. But it seemed like a clever way to attract return customers. As long as there was nothing unpleasant about this meal, he'd remember this place if he returned to Jiang City Plaza. What kind of meat is this? Beef. You had it during hot pot last time. Oh, right. I grabbed it for you then. You didn't know? During their last hot pot, Jiang he was a bit reserved, taking mostly vegetables. Xu Qing had picked most of the meat for her. All she did was eat. Beef, huh? Jiang he seemed conflicted, hesitating with her hand outstretched. If you want it, just take it. It's good. Xu Qing looked around and whispered, no one's going to arrest you. If you remember correctly, back in her time, killing cattle was forbidden. Cattle and horses were critical for farming and the military. Killing them meant a sentence of 1.5 years, about the same as catching wild birds. Alpha Beta. I know. Jiang he shook her head, finally overcoming her hesitation. She took a plate of beef, ready to try it. I just thought of some things. Missing second boss? Yeah. She'd be happy for you. You're here to enjoy life, not to share it. No one deserves you splitting your happiness. Eat as much as you want. 1 plate is enough. Seeing Jiang he reluctant to take more, Xu Qing didn't push. Some things couldn't be changed overnight. Once she realized how good it tasted, maybe she'd stop worrying so much. Do you like the shrimp? He asked. Yeah, it's good. I'll grab another plate. Xu Qing, now familiar with Jiang He's patterns, knew how to handle this. He didn't ask if she wanted more. He just asked if it was good. Whether it was a hassle didn't concern him. As long as Jiang He ate, that was enough. With him grilling the meat, he was practically her personal chef. Beef and pork belly sizzled on the grill, tiny wisps of smoke rising as the meat browned and fragrant juices started to drip. I still think boiling is better. Jiang he commented once she realized this place was different. Because it's faster? Yeah, you just throw it in and wait. No need to fuss over it. Different cooking styles are part of the fun. You're a martial artist, but so impatient. You should learn to relax. Try to enjoy it. Don't just eat to fill up. Xu Qing pointed out the window with the tongs. It's freezing outside, and we're warm in here, grilling our favorite food. That's enjoying life. It's like holding hands, another kind of experience. Living is about experiencing joy, anger, sorrow, and happiness. Try new things, learn to like them, and life gets easier. He flipped the pork belly and placed a piece in her bowl. Try this. You'll like it. The more time he spent with her, the clearer it became just how long Jiang He's learning path was. Things that seemed normal to him were hard for her to grasp. Enjoying life wasn't as simple as deciding to. Some habits were tough to break, like those wealthy uncles and aunts who owned millions in property but worked low-profile cleaning jobs. Not for the experience, but because they truly wanted to. Some things were ingrained to the bone. Luckily, Jiang He was still young, adaptable, and not too set in her ways. Why aren't you eating? Jiang He noticed Xu Qing grilling, but not eating. Did you forget your appetite? Xu Qing smiled and flipped the meat. You eat 3 pieces, I eat 1. Perfect balance. I'll grill instead. You don't grill as well as I do. Here, 1 for you, 1 for me. He handed her a freshly grilled piece, took a bite of his own, and watched Jiang He blowing on hers to cool it. His eyes softened. Loving someone was so good. What are you looking at? You. Seeing her lower her head, Xu Qing stopped teasing. He resumed his role as grill master, tossing a few shrimp onto the grill and glancing elsewhere. This place is nice. Want that? He pointed to the bar shelf with toys, mostly stuffed animals, and a few plastic figures. No, it's free. Really? Jiang He perked up and looked over. Free? Who wouldn't want that? There's a promotion. If we finish everything on our plates, we get a gift. Xu Qing had noticed the flyer when they entered. With you here, we're set. Then let's get 1. They only give 1 per table. It didn't matter if it was 1,000 years ago or 1,000 years later. Girls seemed to have no resistance to stuffed toys. Xu Qing imagined a cold, skilled lady knight finishing a fight, sheathing her sword, then pulling out a plush bear for a hug. Kinda cute. Jiang He. Yeah. You're really cute, Xu Qing whispered. Jiang He lowered her head. Eating isn't just about filling your stomach. It carries many meanings, depending on the occasion and purpose. For instance, when the emperor hosts a feast for his officials, it's for celebration. Everyone eats meat, drinks wine, and enjoys themselves. That's a good thing. Or when I took you to eat cake for the first time, surrounded by a bunch of people, it was also a birthday celebration. But beyond that, it served another purpose, socializing. People who know each other, or even don't, gather to chat, catch up, or just make new acquaintances. Even though something unexpected happened later, that didn't change the event's significance. Relationships between people aren't just about serious matters. There are plenty of casual moments, too. Like when we eat at home, the main purpose is to fill our bellies, but it also provides a sense of stability and warmth in life. Simply put, it brings satisfaction. Not every meal is the same. If it were only about filling your stomach, then ordering takeout every day would be enough. After eating his fill, Xu Qing didn't stop. He continued grilling meat, savoring the moment. He liked Jiang He, and naturally, he enjoyed talking to her too. This kind of affection was different from simply craving her body. He genuinely wished her well and hoped she could enjoy all the good things this era had to offer. Sure, there were unpleasant things too, but what did that matter? Food, clothing, shelter, and transportation, all of these can be elevated after meeting basic needs. In the past, you wore shoes to protect your feet from getting hurt, and you wore thick clothes to stay warm. But now it's different. Once you're warm, you can also care about how good you look, like this outfit you're wearing. I picked it out after a lot of thought. In the same way, we can find joy in eating. We can enjoy the flavors as sauces and juices burst in our mouths, and appreciate the company of the people with us. This is a kind of spiritual satisfaction. That's why I chose for the two of us to grill here slowly and savor the experience. Jiang He ate the meat he grilled, her chewing slowing down as she reflected on his words. Do you feel it? Xu Qing asked, putting another piece of grilled meat in her bowl. It was a good thing they only did this occasionally. If they did it all the time, she'd definitely become a little chubby girl. This is why chefs create new dishes and invent new flavors. Once hunger is satisfied, the next step is to enjoy life. We have our own ways to indulge. Even those who are poor can enjoy burgers and cola. The wealthy have their lobsters and abalones. We endure hardships just for these occasional sweet moments. Without them, many people wouldn't be able to hold on. Even something as simple as adding a marinated egg to a bowl of noodles can be a pleasure for some. This is a spiritual satisfaction, and it doesn't depend on status. After a long day, coming home, putting down your bag, and having someone bring you a hot bowl of noodles, that's incredibly fulfilling. How do you know so much? Jiang asked, both puzzled and amazed. Because my income doesn't exceed 10,000 yuan. Xu Qing laughed. People who make big money are always thinking about making more. Useless people like me just mess around with their girlfriends. But seriously, every class has its own pursuits. The satisfaction I get from eating with you isn't any less than the rich who go out partying. You could say I'm just comforting myself, but everyone sees things differently. To me, this is perfect. Jiang thought for a moment, unable to understand what he meant by useless people. She looked at Xu Qing and said, I think this is perfect, too. Because someone is grilling meat for you? No, it's... Jiang got stuck. She wasn't sure what made it so good, but it just was. The secret to happiness is accepting what you can't change. For example, there isn't really a specific example. Okay, how about this? I can't stay at home all day and have a stable job with full benefits. I have to choose one or the other. That's something I can't easily change with diary success. What are full benefits? It's like this. If you earn 5,000 yuan a month, you set aside 500 yuan for others, like me, and then when you're old or sick, I'll pay you back double. Jiang's eyes widened. That sounds amazing. Wait, what if I don't live to old age? Then that money becomes someone else's. Where do you think the double money comes from? You have to compete to live the longest. If you live to 200, you'll be rich. Xu Qing joked, noticing that the plate was empty except for a bit of food in the pan. Are you full? Should I get more? Jiang rubbed her belly and glanced wistfully toward the food station. I'm a bit full. You ate plenty. The server had already cleared their table once, and now another pile of empty plates had accumulated, thanks to the thin slices of meat that didn't fill a plate. I still want some of that cake, Jiang said tentatively. I'll get it for you. Wait. Jiang reached out, then put her hand down. She only wanted to ask for another piece, not make him go get it. Watching Xu Qing's back as he walked away, she glanced at the pork chop in her bowl, feeling a little conflicted. Was this the satisfaction Xu Qing talked about? What are you thinking about? Xu Qing returned quickly, handing her 2 pastries. This really is wonderful. Oh, Xu Qing looked at the cake in his hand. It really is. Sometimes, I wish I were a woman and had a bunch of admirers. That'd be thrilling. Only women can have admirers? Men can too, but it's rare. You'd have to be as handsome as me and as rich as the wealthy. Only then might it happen. The two of them launched into a serious discussion about admirers until the pastries were gone. Then Xu Qing waved for the server. There's a prize for clearing your plates, right? Yes. The server stammered, having just bet with a co-worker about how many tables would win the prize. This table, which seemed the least likely, turned out to be spotless. The two of them didn't even seem full. This is a good initiative. It promotes avoiding waste. Xu Qing took Jiang's hand and led her to the counter, eyeing the prizes on the shelf. Which one do you like? That bear. It's the color of winter melon. Winter melon is a cat, Xu Qing explained to the server. We'll take that one, thank you. The server handed them the bear, and Xu Qing saw a hint of envy in his eyes. A girlfriend, a cat, a date. Xu Qing sighed. His life made even himself envious. Too bad this girlfriend was still fake, and she still had a lot to learn before she could fully understand things. What's this for? Jiang held the bear as they left, inspecting it curiously. It's just a little toy, kind of like your jade pendant, something to look at. But the jade pendant can be sold for money. Then think of it as a worthless jade pendant. You can cuddle it at night, or imagine it's me. Xu Qing said casually, "It looks pretty cute, doesn't it? You're going to squish it." Thinking of it as you sounds nice. Jiang he now understood its purpose, and she liked it. The planned itinerary was now halfway through. After helping Wang Zijun with his computer, taking a quick look at his fake workplace, and finishing lunch, it was still just past 1 p.m. As they stepped out of the restaurant, Jiang he shrank her neck into her shoulders. She didn't squeeze the little bear in her hands as tightly anymore. After all, it had just treated her to a big meal and tirelessly grilled meat for her. Cold mist hovered around her breath. The sun was beginning to dip westward, casting a warm glow. Xu Qing held her hand, glanced around, and decided that milk tea was out of the question for now. The plan to go shopping and watch a movie could be combined. The cinema was a bit of a walk away. Walking there after a full meal would save money and aid digestion. He explained this plan to Jiang He, who agreed readily. Even if she didn't, there wasn't much choice. If he asked her opinion, she'd probably just say, "Let's go home and play games." "It's so easy to keep you happy," Xu Qing sighed. If it were one of those rich guys' girlfriends, they'd stomp their feet, pout, and say they can't walk. Is there something wrong with their legs? You don't know what pouting means? Xu Qing was stunned. Seeing her frown, Xu Qing thought for a moment, stomped his foot, and said, "Oh, come on, please, something like that." "I want to hit you," Jiang he said after a brief silence. "I was just demonstrating. Want to try? Like you just did? Yeah. Stomp your foot and sway your body. Forget it. If you squeeze that bear any harder, it'll pop. Let's skip it." Xu Qing mourned for the little bear, feeling slightly worried. In Jiang He's eyes, that bear was basically his stand-in. 30 minutes later, they strolled to the cinema at a leisurely pace. Xu Qing, who'd been chatting nonstop since morning, felt thirsty. Instead of looking for milk tea, he bought 2 bottles of mineral water at a store, stuffed them into his pocket, and walked inside with Jiang He. "Can't we just watch at home?" Jiang He asked, looking around the posters and quickly figuring out what kind of place this was. "It's different. This is called a date." Xu Qing shook his head. "Watching at home feels like completing a task. The mindset is all wrong. This is pure relaxation. For you, it's also about learning more about culture, but shouldn't feel like that." Jiang He was too serious about everything. He thought for a long time and decided that experiencing the outside world firsthand was the best way to integrate. Staying home was just theoretical. Experiencing it in person was much quicker. That's why he brought her out for a date. Both goals accomplished. "Do you need to use the restroom?" he asked. Jiang He hesitated. She'd been living here for almost half a year, but Xu Qing asking such a question so naturally still made her uncomfortable. "No, better go anyway. You don't want to miss the movie later. It's an hour and a half long." Xu Qing was already pulling her toward the restroom. "If you don't need to, I do. Wait here and don't wander off." Fine, I'll go." Jiang He mumbled and went into the women's restroom. 2 minutes later, Xu Qing, benefiting from the efficiency of being male, had already finished and was wiping his hands with a tissue while waiting. Figuring Jiang he would take a while, he went to buy some popcorn. He didn't like sweet things, but watching a movie without popcorn just felt wrong. The afternoon crowd at the cinema wasn't as large as in the evening. Only when a show was about to start did a few people trickle in, probably having spent time shopping before coming in at the last minute. Xu Qing had already picked out the movie and collected the tickets. He handed the popcorn to Jiang He and played with his phone while they waited. "What are we watching?" Jiang He asked. She wasn't used to staring at her phone, using it only as a pocket-sized Baidu tool, and often forgot to bring it when going out. "The only suitable movie showing right now is Dying to Survive." He pulled the tickets from his pocket and handed them to Jiang He. He had thought this through while researching on the computer. Foreign films weren't suitable for her right now. Seeing white, black, brown people, or blue-eyed monsters wouldn't help. Horror, absurd comedies, sci-fi, or historical dramas wouldn't make sense either and might confuse her more. Comedies were okay, but the overly exaggerated ones didn't help her understand social relationships or culture. Movies like Goodbye, Mr. Loser had another barrier. She needed to understand what rebirth meant first. Too serious was bad. Too exaggerated was bad. The movie needed to reflect ordinary people and everyday life, something relatable. The atmosphere of watching with a crowd would also help. After considering options like Mountains May Depart and other films by director Xu Qing concluded they were too serious. He needed to experience movies as entertainment, not as an evening news broadcast. A movie date was about feeling the atmosphere, sitting in a theater with others, and learning how people engage with films. We'll be in a big, dark room, sitting in the back row. Try not to talk loudly. If possible, don't speak at all. If you want to say something, wait until we're out. Here's a bottle of water. Can I hold your hand during the movie? Do you need to hold hands to watch a movie? He asked. No, but it's nice. I can feel your emotions, and you'll know I'm right beside you in the dark. You just want to hold my hand, don't you? Yes, Xu Qing admitted shamelessly. Scoundrel. I was just asking. If you don't want to, that's fine. I'm seriously asking for your opinion. How does that make me a scoundrel? Xu Qing threw in some twisted logic. Besides, I've told you before that scoundrel is a good guy. You should say rascal instead. Rascal? He repeated. The word seemed to fit perfectly. Yeah, that's what you mean. But I'm not a rascal. Can I hold your hand? We're a couple, after all. You held my hand all the way here. This is called a date. Xu Qing's sincere gaze wavered. He's resolve. Holding hands. Wasn't that just like holding onto his hand? They have been holding hands for a while now, anyway. What's so good about holding hands? He looked down at the calluses on her fingertips, confused by this question. When he held her hand, his broad palm felt big, but not very strong. She felt like if she squeezed just a little harder, Xu Qing's hand might make a cracking sound. Her hand was rough and not at all pretty. Why did this guy like it? He sneaked a glance at Xu Qing, then looked back at her own hand. The scoundrel's wife had messy hair, crooked ears, cracked lips, and missing teeth. She walked with a hunch and a limp, and her body was covered in sores. But the scoundrel still liked her and had 5 children with her. What are you thinking about? Xu Qing asked, noticing her strange expression. And nothing. He panicked, pressing her lips tightly together, her heart pounding faster. It was confirmed. This guy really was a scoundrel. Her hand was rough and ugly, yet he still liked it. If that didn't make him a scoundrel, what did? What did second boss say again? Let's go, it's starting. Seeing the ticket inspection begin, Xu Qing was about to take He over, but when he turned around, he noticed she was deep in thought. What's wrong? Nothing. He hesitated, looked down at the stuffed bear in her hand, and suddenly handed him the popcorn. What are you? Xu Qing took it, puzzled. Before he could finish speaking, she punched the stuffed bear in the face. Bang. All right, what were you saying? He asked. I said the movie's starting. Xu Qing looked at the bear in her hand, his voice soft and full of warmth. Take out the tickets. They need to see them before we can go in. Nui. The stuffed toy was elastic, but at this rate, it wouldn't last long before it was destroyed. Why is she so violent for someone so young? You're not going to hit me, are you? Xu Qing couldn't help but ask. No. He shook her head, paused, then said, You should hurry up and learn martial arts. Huh, then we can spar. She suddenly saw a bright future ahead. That's totally unnecessary. Xu Qing shuddered, grabbed the popcorn, and walked ahead. Take out the tickets and show them to the person at the entrance. Dating is risky. Pursuing a lady night requires caution. After the tickets were checked, they found their seats in the middle of the last row. Xu Qing placed 2 bottles of mineral water in the cup holders on the armrests, with the popcorn in the middle. There weren't many people at the afternoon showing. Only 1/3 of the seats were filled. The last row had 2 people in the corner, but the middle was empty, so they could use 3 cup holders. Remembering Xu Qing's advice, He stayed silent, glancing around as people took their seats. She looked at the advertisements and fire safety tips on the big screen, suppressing her amazement. This screen is huge. The lights will go off soon. As he spoke, the theater lights dimmed, plunging them into darkness, and the movie began. Xu Qing glanced at He, who was also looking at him. In the dark, they stared at each other for a moment, then quickly turned back to the screen. The story unfolded. A drug dealer, a priest, a dancer, a drifter, and a scheming advisor. 5 seemingly unrelated people brought together by a drug. The first half progressed calmly, the director telling the story at a steady pace with occasional jokes. A few laughs came from the audience. Jiang he blinked, started to understand how Xu Qing felt when watching movies at home. When the character with yellow hair appeared, she couldn't help but glance at Xu Qing. Although Xu Qing was better looking than the guy in the movie, somehow their vibes were similar, especially with that red hair he used to have. He looked like a street punk. Thinking of this, she studied Xu Qing closely. That sense of similarity disappeared. The yellow-haired guy was silly. Xu Qing was as cunning as a fox. They were nothing alike. "What are you looking at?" Xu Qing asked, puzzled. Jiang he shook her head, staying silent. On second thought, the scruffy Xu Zheng in the movie matched his vibe more. That slacker attitude was exactly the same. No, wait. Wang Chuanjuan's sly expression was even more like Xu Qing's. Jiang he kept a straight face as she compared Xu Qing to the characters on screen. "Eat." Xu Qing tapped her elbow with some popcorn, reminding her in a low voice. He realized he'd made a mistake. With the popcorn in the middle, he couldn't hold her hand and eat at the same time. If he ate, he couldn't hold her hand. He regretted it so much. He should have put the popcorn on her other side. He didn't even like popcorn. Feeding her was out of the question. Having seen the movie before, Xu Qing wasn't too focused. He alternated between glancing at Jiang he and the couple in the corner. People who choose corner seats are always up to no good. They didn't come to watch the movie. On the big screen, Xu Zheng and the yellow-haired guy were fighting. In the corner, the couple was also fighting, their faces practically glued together. Scandalous. Xu Qing watched with interest for a moment, then turned back and found Jiang he staring at him. "What are they doing?" she finally whispered, leaning close to his ear. "Doing what couples do," Xu Qing whispered back. "Doesn't seem like anything good." She couldn't see their movements clearly, but something felt off. "Ignore them." "Oh." Their whispered conversation ended, and they continued watching quietly. Bored, Xu Qing noticed Jiang he wasn't interested in the popcorn and tugged on her sleeve. Jiang he let him pull her arm over, only to flinch when he held her hand. She instinctively tried to pull away. Just for a bit, Xu Qing coaxed, tugging on her sleeve again. Jiang he didn't respond, her heart racing, eyes darting around nervously. Rough, calloused hands, yet he still wants to hold them. What a scoundrel. But the scoundrel still liked her and had 5 children with her. Xu Qing's words echoed in her mind. Jiang he's eyes widened, flustered. 5 children. Xu Qing kept tugging her sleeve, his face puzzled by her changing expressions. "We've held hands the whole way here. Why not now? What is this girl thinking?"